Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard, joined by Lily Padman.
Hi.
Per your request, you spearheaded this, and I'm so grateful you did.
Yeah.
She was so delightful.
Allison Jones.
Allison Jones, she comes up a bunch over the years. She's helped numerous people in their careers.
She's a casting extraordinaire.
Yep, she's an award-winning casting director. Just, a few of her impossibly long resume. Barbie, Veep, The Office, Freaks and Geeks, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Parks and Rec.
She does all Mike stuff.
Basically any impossibly great comedic ensemble where you're like, where did they find all these geniuses? It's almost always going to be Allison Jones.
It is. It's her track record is so insane.
Yeah.
And it goes so far back. I didn't realize that. It was fun to learn about like the
Golden
early.
Girls.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really cool. And then just a sweetheart.
Love her.
So please enjoy Allison Jones. We are presented by Amazon Prime. It's more than just fast, free shipping. Whatever you're into, it's on Prime. So keep listening and watching to hear about the exclusive stuff we love about Prime during the fact check.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Many people that you would think wouldn't be nervous
are.
Bill Lawrence, who was just here, he's done 1.5 million interviews.
Yes.
Very gregarious guy.
Yes.
You would not think he would be nervous.
No, I would not. And I'm working with him now.
Are you?
First time I met him, yeah.
For Bad Monkey?
No, for new Steve Carell show.
Oh, okay.
Look at you. Already. I'm already in. It's already tasty.
Okay, well, I don't want you to be
Who
nervous.
knew this one was? I did not.
I did.
That I was feisty.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the original eye for Monica. I was the casting director for Monica.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can give.
But you first worked for Kristen, or did Dax
did.
find you for that?
Well, no, sorry. I first worked for them as a nanny. So I worked for both of them originally.
Maybe I did know that a while ago. Yeah.
Originally.
And she was in our friendship group, but kind of a newer member.
Periphery.
Yeah. And I said, that gal's really smart. Like, she's a very smart, interesting person. Every time I talk to her, we argue, and she's a worthy adversary.
Yes.
And then, then she started babysitting and then full-time nanny, then started working with Kristen, then became Kristen's writer, producer.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah. It was before Good Place.
No, because House of Lies.
It was before, because House of Lies, as House of Lies was ending, kind of, is when I started taking on more stuff of her.
Got it.
Suffice to say, Kristen was entirely dependent on Monica.
Yeah.
To a degree you can't imagine.
Oops.
And then we started this, and then it was accidentally very successful. And then I had to say, I'm going to have to steal her full time. And she, of course, was generous.
But to be like an on-mic person, an on-camera person, I asked him if the audio could be broken today, but I didn't. The fact that you film this is scary.
Oh, yeah.
The camera stuff is new for all of us actually here, but you forget.
Yeah.
You forget.
No,
The first two episodes, we were a little... Bill was one of the early ones. He might have even been the one that kind of broke it, where I was like, okay. I'm comfortable here. I like this. I can pretend this is my living room. But Allison, this is a great first question. So you have spent the last, I don't know how many years, since 82.
Are we starting?
Oh, yeah, we're always rolling.
We call it ABR, always recording.
Let me get this coffee. Okay. Oh, God. Okay.
Okay, this is wonderful.
So sweet.
You've spent from 82 to 2024, so that's 42 years of watching humans walk into a room with a ton of anxiety, maybe the peak anxiety they'll have.
83, thank you.
83? Oh, okay.
One less year than that.
Wasn't Family Ties 82, but you came in
But
a year?
I came in season 2. Yeah.
That makes sense. 41 years.
Yeah.
Of watching people come in nervous. And I guess maybe the layperson would assume that would inoculate you to nervousness, like you would somehow... No.
I'm usually as nervous. The higher up the food chain you go in terms of auditioning, I get as nervous as the actor does. And when it's like a final audition, you'll hear my voice quiver like you hear it quivering now.
Oh, really?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Just because you care? Like, obviously.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I want to get the job done, too, and I want them to do a good job.
Yeah, what percentage of that nervousness for you when you've gotten to that last layer of the audition process is you rooting for someone that you were championing versus I really want the people that employed me to be very happy with where we've gotten?
That's a good question. I would say that we always want to do a good job, but also I really want the people I'm bringing in to do a good job and that we pick the right person.
Yes.
My biggest fear is we don't pick the right person. That's a common casting director fear, was that they're going to pick the boner in the group or something.
Yeah. Well, I have a million questions about exactly that coming later. But I want to start in Massachusetts.
Okay.
I have a hard time saying it. But you grew up in a Boston suburb?
I did. Needham, Massachusetts. Yeah.
And what did mom and dad do?
Mom was a housewife, which is what women were wont to do back then, and my father was an insurance executive. Very nice childhood, kind of predictable.
Okay.
Yeah.
A Norman Rockwell painting? Not that.
Not
We won't
quite.
go that far.
That's not real for anyone.
No, that would have been a few of the neighboring towns like Wellesley. But a lovely town, and my best friends are still my high school friends.
They are.
Yeah.
And do you have siblings? Oh, no, I know this. You're the second youngest of 6.
I am. I have 5 siblings. Yeah.
Boys, girls,
3 boys, 3 girls.
3 boys. How wonderful of your mother to nail it like that, the ratio.
Yes, she would let us know that.
Was it every other one?
No, 2 boys, a girl, 2 girls, me, and then my younger brother.
Was it just chaos in a very fun way?
You're such an optimist. Yes, it was chaos. In a fun way, mostly, yes. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, Boston, Mass. was filled with huge families, Irish Catholic families, Italian families.
Yeah.
6 was very common.
It was?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What about you guys? Can I ask you
I'm
back?
one of 3. You're allowed to ask
okay.
as many questions as you want.
Monica?
2.
2.
Well, me and my brother. He's 8
Yeah.
years younger than me, though. So
They both have
I kind of barely
only child
consider.
syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
two would have been controversial where I grew up.
Yeah,
it was
I
like
bet.
2. That's what happened.
She must
something-
have some kind of
yeah,
issue.
what's going on?
And it
yeah.
definitely would have been her.
Yeah, of course. All men are
Mom
virile.
definitely
and
has some sort
Yeah.
of
very
issue.
potent.
Most of my friends from high school came from very large families, yes. And we would have synchronized brothers and sister ages. Like my younger brother was best friends with my best friend's younger brother.
Yeah.
And you knew that we can still talk about antics and all that kind of stuff back from the
What about
early days.
dating older siblings' friends? Was that ever an issue that popped up?
I would have been terrified.
Okay.
I would.
Me too.
I can't say. I may have wanted to. Yeah.
Sure.
But like the more interesting thing was my 2 older brothers possibly going after the same,
Oh, yeah.
like high school cheerleader. Yeah.
Because were they Irish twins? Although you're,
They were, in fact.
They were.
And my younger brother and I, very close in age, like 13 months, yeah. So
Okay. What's the age gap between the oldest and the youngest?
The oldest and the youngest would be about 11 years, I think. My mother had 3 kids, took a little break, and then another 3
It
kids.
took like a season, maybe.
I think so. A hiatus, yeah.
Did you have fantasies about show business as a kid? Or how did this all come to be?
No.
How did you end up at Pomona College?
Well, I applied to a lot of fancy colleges and didn't get in. I wanted to go to school in California.
Okay.
Because I would watch shows like The Newlywed Game and The Dating Game and Gidget, which was like, oh my God, that girl gets to surf after school. I can't believe it. So in the 60s and 70s, everything was happening in California.
Right, it was like big surf
serial
culture.
killing,
Yes,
free
literally.
love. Everything was happening in California. So
Right.
I was like, I got to go.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
And also in those days, you didn't do the regimented thing of visiting colleges and spending a fortune on SATs and on applications.
Right.
I just said, I got to go to California. It's super cool out there. So my parents wouldn't let me.
Okay.
So I went to University of New Hampshire for a year and then transferred to Pomona College. Somehow they magically let me go. I think when I think back on it, it could have been, it probably fit their budget better to wait a year.
Sure.
And then I could go to California. But I had never been to California at all.
At all. You just had seen
And-
it on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you love TV?
God, yes.
You did.
Yeah.
I didn't have access to it unless I was at my dad's like every other weekend or whatever,
Yeah.
once a month. Because we lived kind of out in the sticks. We didn't have a good antenna. I had to go to a friend's house if I wanted to watch Dukes of Hazzard. But when I was at my dad's, my brother and I, all we did from the second we got up until 3 in the morning.
And where was that?
Detroit.
Part of the, Detroit. Okay.
Yeah. In Atlanta.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The suburbs.
I was the early TV generation.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, TV, I was obsessed. And now when it's like screen time, That was not a thing. My parents were like, you can watch as much TV.
Oh, no. We were
forever.
plopped in front of the new color TV,
Yes.
we would have called it. Yeah. Oh, no. We were TV kids. What else are you going to do with 6 ungrateful children and no nannies? In those days, nannies, no.
Exactly.
I guess, unless you're a Kennedy or something, but
They were,
no nannies.
The TV shows were the babysitters. But for me, it was such a fantasy world. Like, I could go in and I could pretend I was in Full House and the whole thing. Did you have that with TV? Like, you were using it as an escape or not really?
It was so new.
I don't know. I just loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, movies were not cinema the way it is now either.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents would bring us to movies. My father brought us to every Peter Sellers movie and Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon movie that came out, to whom I owe my appreciation of that kind of humor. But I don't know. I never broke it down. But I would say yes, definitely, and probably still the reason. And also I loved, like, you know, we would beg to stay up to see Johnny Carson's monologue. We'd begin the monologue. Can we see the monologue?
Yeah. Okay, so when you get to Pomona, is this true that, like, at Pomona, you find kind of a comedy geek culture?
They weren't self-aware of being a comedy geek culture. There probably is now. That sort of didn't exist at all. They just happen to be the pure, unadulterated, brilliant, like, science major, pre-med major, law major geeks who loved Monty Python and who loved Fire Sign Theater. And it was like, what are they talking about? But those are the first people I met that I was really tuned into that comedy. They were beautiful, smart, probably at the time highly unpopular geeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now they've come to the fore.
Now they run the world.
Now they run the world.
Yeah, remember Revenge of the Nerds was like this preposterous scenario where the nerds would defeat the jocks, and now the world is
And even then that was like, it was preposterous, but you got to see, you know, Jamie Cromwell laughing.
Yes.
Like, you know, and Anthony Edwards. That was the first turning point of making geeks in the title of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had a visual arts major there. Mm-hmm. And what was your goal with that?
Didn't really have one. I just liked it. After Pomona, I worked night shift at a newspaper in Glendora for a year. And then I went to...
You're inching your way towards LA.
I'm inching my way.
For people who don't know, Pomona's like 60 miles out and Glendora is like 35 miles out.
And then I went to UCLA Business School, mostly because my father was a businessman. And I thought, I think I can get a good salary after I go to business school. Yeah. I truly was clueless. In those days, we did not put the pressure on ourselves that these poor kids do now.
Yeah. Right.
I don't have a goal now. I mean, I certainly didn't have a goal then.
Yeah. So you leave there. How on earth do you end up at Family Ties as a casting director?
Well, I have a very good friend named Lydia Woodward from business school. A little core of us were just so not meant to be in the business world.
Yeah.
I think we're all there for the same reason, just to get a job.
Buy some time and get a job.
Buy some time and get a job. Yeah. I was living in California at the time, and I think I only paid $750 a trimester to go to UCLA Business School as a resident.
Yeah.
What a bargain. I got my MBA for 2 years for like $3,000.
Wow.
I totally
incredible.
think that's true because even when I graduated in 2000, my all in was $3,800 a year.
That's probably changed. It was amazing. So anyway, I get out of business school, and a friend of mine, Lydia, was going right into film school at AFI as a producing fellow, is what we called it then. And I was working in advertising in New York City at the time. My year right after business school, I went to work on Madison Avenue in New York City for an agency called Doyle Dane Bernbach, which was mentioned in Mad Men quite a bit. But that's why I love Mad Men so much. I was the tail end of when Mad Men would have ended, or maybe a few years after.
People were
Mad
still
Men.
smoking and drinking all day long, or
and they had so much makeup and high heels. It was my first time ever spending much time in New York City, and I was not cut out for advertising either.
Okay,
but my friend said, Allison, you should come to AFI. It is up your alley. It's you can get a loan for a low rate, so I did in the producing section. Again, goalless, no goals. Just said, no, that'd be fun. I think I'll do it.
Yeah, you're just following the next thing in front of you.
And so I went to AFI, loved it. I've never met people like that before in my life. You know, you're ending up with, that person's uncle is somebody famous, and anyway.
Yeah.
In the student films, I enjoyed the casting part of it. And again, the same friend, Lydia, said, I think you can get a job in casting. I was like, no way, that's a real job.
Your friend is like your guidance counselor.
She is my guidance counselor. She's a great friend. She's a very successful writer, producer. But yeah, we hit it off because we both flunked one of our tests together, and we were singled out because
it's a
we
bonding.
flunked.
Yeah,
it was a total bonding thing. Yeah.
It's like friendships forged in war.
Yeah, totally.
Do you remember what about the casting process interested you?
I just dug it. We were casting a student film. In those days, AFI had sort of a little SAG connection, but not really. So you had to go find, we're talking 1982 or 81. You really had to pester people to get anything done in those days. There was no email. There was, as you know, it was just calling people up and getting hung up on, that kind of thing. But every time I watched a TV show, like I would see somebody on Marcus Welby, MD, and then I'd see her in a Spearmint Gum commercial. It was like, oh, she's doing a commercial. How does that work?
Right.
I didn't know what casting was as a kid. Nothing.
Yeah, that's why I think this episode will be so fascinating because I don't think people, you just are presented with this show. You're very far removed from Hollywood.
Yeah.
You're in the best case scenario, you're just buying into the notion these are real kids in high school in Beverly Hills, 90210.
Yes.
You're not even considering, that's an actor. And
No.
Yeah, the notion of that there's a whole rung of this industry that's in charge of scouting, finding, and getting those people in.
Hugely important, especially for the talent. You don't really realize that until you start entering it. You know, when you come here and you're like, oh, wow, casting directors and casting is a huge component of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The first big gate.
Yeah.
That's being kept.
For you guys appreciate that, but not many other people.
Right.
Or even know it.
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought the casting process was really cool and creative.
Yeah.
And required a certain level of taste.
Discernment
And taste, and realizing, wow, one actor can completely change a student film versus another actor. I went to Larry Edmonds or something and got a little catalog of casting directors and producers, and I started typing my letters to casting directors. And I think I sent out, you had to put a stamp on the envelope and mail them out. And then I think I got 2 answers. And one woman hired me, Judith Wiener. She hired me.
She was the casting director for Family Ties?
Yes, she was. She was the casting director for Family Ties.
Okay.
And that was at Sunset Gower. And I literally remember walking in on the Gower entrance on Sunset Gower and looking to my left, and there was the Hollywood sign. So it was like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
Again, goalless, but just like, this is bitchin'.
Yeah.
A word I never heard till I moved to California.
Made very popular in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you start working on that show, and I imagine you're doing a lot of the work that's not picking per se.
The first thing you do as a casting assistant is back then it was answering the phones.
Okay.
And my first office job was with Judith, and we shared an office with the late Tim Flack, who was the casting director, and they were doing the pilot of The Cosby Show.
Oh, wow.
And we were working on a show called Benson, all at Sunset Gower, which was an amazing old historic studio to work at, because even today it looks the same as it did probably in 1925. Literally inside, if you've ever shot anything at Sunset Gower, looks like you're in the 1920s. The old school payroll windows and stuff.
Yes.
It's really, really cool. And they shot some magnificent old movies there, including The Three Stooges, which was my big comedy influence growing up as a kid with a bunch of brothers.
Yeah, of course.
Who we hit each other all the time. And it was all because
Very
we were
comedy.
joking and not joking.
Yeah, I think it led to a lot of trips to the emergency room, that show. I know my brother and I would try that, because you'd go like this, and the defense was this, but I was 5 years younger, so his fingers were longer than this. So.
Yeah, but that was what we worshipped.
And people are calling, I'm sure, and they're pitching
They're
people.
calling, and you're at those days. I was learning how to put people on hold and say hold please and get back to someone. And my boss would say, "Don't keep anybody on hold for more than 2 seconds." So I'd be going back and forth, hold please, hold please, hold please. It was like, oh my God, there's a big agent on the phone. What do I say to a big agent? So it was a lot of answering phones. It was nowhere near as hectic as it is now.
It's gotten more hectic.
Much more hectic.
Oh.
You have, tenfold more agents, managers, representatives calling you all the time. So it's so much so that you can't get your job done. So we've had to pretty much switch to email and texting.
Right.
But back then, in the early 80s, we were working on a show called Benson. Tim was doing the pilot for The Cosby Show. And we were doing a show called Condo and a pilot. So there was a lot of casting sessions to set up. And in those days, you had call the agent, talk to the agent's assistant, give the time, the place, leave the sides at the Gower gate for the actors to come pick up In the days, there was no fax.
Yeah. Sides are the lines for
Yeah,
people who don't know. So these are the lines for the audition.
I assume they called sides because it's two sides of a playbill or something. I never understood, never figured that out.
Me either.
You know?
We'll find out for the fact check.
I think it has to do with one side, two sides of something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, this huge explosion in the amount of managers and agents and whatnot, is it proportional to, because when you were on Benson, you're casting the Cosby Show, there's only 3 networks. The 3 networks only have 5 days of airing and 4 shows. So you're talking 20, maybe 60 shows are on television.
Yeah.
And now we're at, I don't know, hundreds of shows. So do you think it's proportional or does something else happen?
No. I think that happened way before we came into streaming.
Okay.
I mean, managers started getting busy on us about 25 years ago, I think. Actors, for some reason, they decided they needed an attorney. They needed a manager. Yeah. They needed an agent as well. And so I remember sometime in the 90s when suddenly the breakdowns, which is a service that sends to agents the parts that we're casting, and then they submit headshots.
I need an 18 to 24-year-old female.
And that is how they disseminated the casting calls, basically, for every new project that came along. It was breakdown. I mean, there's kind of a monopoly on that one company.
Yeah.
Suddenly, for some reason, I remember the first manager I ever heard of was Keith Addis, who represented Sting. You know, he never would bother any of us, but it was like, oh, what does a manager do? Yeah. Anyway, so then for some reason, there was just like an onslaught of managers who started to call us. You'd have an agent calling about the same client that a manager would call about and give you the same pitch.
And what are they saying? Like, hey, you should really think about my client. And you're like, yes or no. And then they call back and say, actually, you really should think about, like, well,
all the time. And then the manager would call and say, this is the person.
Okay, so when you were at Family Ties, I'm going to ask you some juicy questions.
Please.
Famously, Leonardo DiCaprio was on Family Ties, right?
No, he was on
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains. I fucked that up.
That's sad. You wanted to ask about an early Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah,
and young River Phoenix was.
He was on Family Ties? Okay. Maybe that's who I'm thinking
and
of.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Oh, and Tom Hanks.
And Tom Hanks.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you already had Michael J. Fox.
And this was all my boss, Judith Weiner, and her associate at the time, Donald DeLine, who's now a big producer. But
Donald DeLine is my favorite person in show business. Yes. He produced Without a Paddle.
He came up.
Oh, he
what
did,
a
right.
gentleman!
He's hilarious and was just as funny then.
Wait, DeLine did the pilot of Family Ties?
He was the associate at the time.
Really?
I think he was the one who probably turned Judith onto Justine Bateman as being a good one in the group, because sometimes we would pre-read the people for Judith.
Okay.
Associates would pre-read the people, which doesn't so much exist anymore. Now you'd call it self-tape as a pre-read.
Yeah, I got a question about that.
Anyway, many young people came through the Family Ties coffers. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think, as a 7-year-old, played a bully. With, do you guys even know Family Ties?
Yes.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Family Ties.
You didn't. You
yes,
did.
I did.
Reruns, I assume. I don't think you can get it anywhere now. And it's a show that would catch on because of the conservative liberal thing.
Yeah, it would.
Right?
Because Alex P. Keaton was a conservative.
Michael, I know.
And the dad was liberal.
Yeah.
The whole family was liberal.
It was great. Huh. And it was
really
David Goldberg's family story, basically. He was liberal and a hippie, and his kids were conservative. I believe so.
Oh, that is very interesting. Yeah, no, that was 82 to 87. No, 89. So I was 7 till 12.
So you loved Alex P. Keaton.
I liked Justine Bateman. I liked Alex P. Keaton. Then he was in Back to the Future. Who was Skippy?
Mark Price. He was the goofy, but
yes,
literally the definition of the goofy friend next door.
A few years later, you're on Golden Girls.
Yes, with Judith, we did the pilot.
You would be privy to one of the great kind of funny debates now that happens with the Golden Girls. The Golden Girls is this enormous thing, right?
Yes.
Like it's had all these different lives, which is great. And I watched it as a kid, but again, I was 7 to 12. They look like grandmas to me. Now that I'm 50 or closing in on it, everyone points out like some of the cast members were like
quite young.
in their 40s or 50s.
Yeah. Estelle definitely made herself look like an old granny.
So what was the conversation behind closed doors about what age you were going to cast as these grandmothers living in?
I think it was not even discussed. The women that were considered were all probably in those days considered elderly, and they were in their 50s. Yeah.
Right. I think that it's the reality of the times. It's not like anyone was
No, it's the reality of the times.
Yeah.
You still see that from time to time, though. But then it was not even a question. There was just people in their 50s were going to be the elderly people. But Estelle came in to audition. She had come in to audition for something on Family Ties. I went back. I keep everything in my storage units, and I went back to see the way we got to Estelle. And she had auditioned for something on Family Ties. I saw the producer session, which I typed. on a selector typewriter, and then you make copies of it, and then you pass it out. She had come in for a part that she did not get, but then about a week later, Judith brought her in for Golden Girls just to pre-read her. We didn't tape or anything. We had to bring them back in person for all the producers, and Tony Thomas and Paul Witt. Susan Harris didn't come to the sessions. Anyway.
Sam Harris's mother.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Sam.
Yes.
So what does Sam Harris do? I'm sorry, what does he do now?
Sam Harris has an enormous...
Other than the comic, who's not that Sam Harris.
No.
Right,
Yeah.
he became a neurologist and then became he has a huge podcast, but he has also famously on Bill Maher all the time arguing. He got into hot water arguing Ben Affleck about Islam. He is a very outspoken, provocative intellectual.
Wow.
Yeah. Most people go the other way, by the way. Most people know Sam, and I'll say his mother invented
I knew that
Golden
her kid
Girls.
was Sam, because they would, I think the reason she got into writing was because she had to support Sam.
Yes,
and-
single mother.
Yeah, she had to support Sam, and she wrote a spec script. She said, I can do that stuff, and she wrote a spec script for one of their shows at the time, and then she just got huge. I mean, she created Soap, and she was a very, very important person, not just female, very important person in comedy.
A titan, and that kind of
And
era.
then she and Paul Witt made the greatest comedies in the 80s and 90s, and they had like The Third Floor on Sunset Gower.
So by the time we get to 1990, I guess I'm wondering, so you already pointed out something that happens, which is fascinating. It's like you come in for one thing, you're not right for it. And that's its own thing that actors need to understand.
All the time, it's almost the rule, not the exception.
Yes.
Yes, and it took me directing things and casting people to really fundamentally understand what's going on in the room. I wish I would have started directing because it would have taken so much of the pressure off of auditioning. Which is like, you're kind of right or you're wrong.
Yeah.
You have you have some range of talent, but
Exactly.
Yeah. But what can happen, which is encouraging, is you as a casting director go like, well, they're terrible for this role, but they're good. I want to keep a mental note of
we're
them.
keeping that in our heads.
If you start in 83, and by the time we get to Fresh Prince, you've had 7 years of kind of accumulating people that you've liked.
Yes.
Okay.
Seeing every movie and every TV show and memorizing every actor.
Anytime you see someone you like, you write it down?
Anytime I'd go to a movie, this was before Internet Movie Database.
Yeah.
I have a ton of little notebooks where I've written down all the cast. I stay at the end and I would write down all the cast, and I would say like I noted like Roseanne Barr. Her first bit was on Johnny Carson, and I wrote Roseanne Carr, and then I wrote riding vacuum cleaner.
That was
so
her
I
bit.
remember her bit
my
was riding
God.
vacuum. And then I ended up seeing her at the Comedy Store. Anyway, everything was handwritten those days. So yes, I had tons of writing down everybody. Ellen does something. I didn't think I could spell her name, but I wrote it down.
DeGeneres?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, this is so funny.
Yeah, so I have all kinds of little notebooks.
And you don't have a computer, so it's not like you can put all this in a spreadsheet and break it into categories and stuff. So anytime you have a new project on your hands and you've got 13 roles to cast, how do you keep track of this huge handwritten stack of paper with people's names on?
I would say that most of the folks I started out with, Sally Steiner and Meg Lieberman and Donald, who started in casting, we just had scraps of paper everywhere.
Okay.
I would rip things out of, later I would get Time Out New York when that started, and I would rip things out about the comedy people that they would talk about. And that's how I remembered people like Rory Scovel and Ben Schwartz. I still have their little things ripped out of the Time Out New York.
Oh.
Some of these things, like, I think should be in the Smithsonian.
Oh, God. I don't know. They're all in my storage unit.
That's fantastic.
I think the Smithsonian has a whole TV thing to it.
Yeah, they have the Archie Bunker's chair.
Oh, right. Then they definitely do.
But it was all scrap paper. Our walls were covered with little thumbtacks with somebody's name.
Names.
Yeah.
Every time you're watching something, you're on the lookout for someone that's talented.
Yep.
Does that ruin scene stuff? Are you too preoccupied?
No, it doesn't ruin it for me because I still love it. But at those days you had to stay. And sometimes I'd have to see a movie twice because you can't go to IMDb, and I'd have to look at the.
And it's going fast.
Yes, and it's going fast. And I was
and
right.
the lights
I
might
remember,
not even be on yet.
Yes, exactly. So I would have to go sometimes twice, and there's many people who I would bring in the next week, and they got a part.
Wow.
So
okay, so that's one approach: is you're paying attention to who's in what.
Yeah.
Are you also going to comedy clubs?
No, all the time. That was then you had to do it on your feet. You had to go into the Comedy Store. When I was working for Judith, she let me do some sort of new, which never really aired, late night comedy show that NBC wanted to put on adjacent or after SNL at the time. We're talking 1980s.
Yeah.
And
1 a.m.
That was my first flat out comedy thing where I started to learn comics. I had to learn comics like I learned my multiplication tables in the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
I went to the Comedy Store and improv every single night for weeks. I'd park up above the Comedy Store. I never went to the main room because those were the acts that everybody knew, Robin Williams. But I would go to the back room and sit there from like 8 o'clock to 2 in the morning, and I would see always like a 19-year-old, 20-year-old Jim Carrey. It was the same lineup half the time I went there. It was like Jim Carrey, and then it was Jeff Altman, Damon Wayans, who was very young at the time, as I recall. I just sat in the back and I had to have a 2-drink minimum, no comps back then, and I was just a casting assistant. So I would sit there and I would sit until the end. And usually, I think it was Sunday night, I forget when Sam Kinison would come on at 2 in the morning and be screaming.
Yeah.
And then I would leave and go home and do it the next night. I just made a point to do it solid for like 2 or 3 weeks so I could learn comics. You had to do the legwork then. And I have very fond memories of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so that's positive because you got to understand for every Jim Carrey, you're also wading through 2 or 3 that are like really pretty rough and people are bombing and that's not, some people are thinking like, I'd go to a comedy show every night. And
no, they're
it's
hard.
a little rough.
And that was the days preceding you, maybe not, where the goal of a comic was to get a deal at a network.
Right.
First of all, to get a spot on Johnny Carson.
Yep,
and to
step
get
one.
called to sit on the couch.
Yep.
Second of all, I remember we would also go back and sort of go to the ladies' room, and then the comics were always, out back in the hallway smoking and talking about their sets. And God bless the comics, but they're insecure and these are now the biggest comics in the world.
They're pretty mean too.
The Mark Maron and the biggest stand-ups in the world were all back there at the age of 21.
Yes.
Yeah, gossipy and mean and
insecure and
it
scared.
Is based out
very few females. They even had just a female night. That was like all you had for the female comics. And they had like, I think it was the Belly Room. I'm not sure, where you would go see. I remember when Whoopi Goldberg first came, it was like, oh my God, you should go see this. I remember Donald DeLine telling me there is this comic, this female who is unbelievable. You should go see her. Her name is Whoopi Goldberg. And it was, okay, Whoopi. Okay, Whoopi Goldberg.
And you put her in the color purple.
I
wish. Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Did you get good at delineating who's going to work? Because it's a big leap between stand-up and acting, and it goes very well for some, and it goes really bad for others. Do you feel like you got good with your thin slicing or your radar? Was there anything you could tell on stage that was going to be predictive of whether they could do it or not?
I think for me, the bar was how funny they were. And for example, I did not know how good Jim Carrey would be as an actor, but I brought him in. I did not know how good Dennis Leary would be as an actor. There's an actor who needs a better career.
Yeah.
He's got a good one, but deserves a better because he's unbelievably good actor, as many comics are good dramatically. Right. But anyway, yes, I didn't know. What is more terrifying and difficult than stand-up comedy?
Nothing.
Absolutely. I've said it before, but I'll tell you. I had a scene in this movie I directed where Kristen and I are in an off-road race car, and we've got to drive through a barn door, and it's a real barn door. We're going to break through a barn door, and on the other side, there's ramps that are this wide, and then we're going to jump 2 cars. And I'm directing, so I'm actually doing the whole thing. And it's dark inside the barn. It's going to be very bright when we crash through the thing. And then I got to hit these little ramps. And we're sitting in the car right before we're about to go, and the stunt coordinator, my friend DeCastro, goes, "How are you doing?" I go, "I'm good." He goes, "How nervous are you?" And I go, "If stand-up is a 10, I'm at a 4. Oh, God. And that's a real comp for me. Jumping a car over other cars is like 40% as scary as stand-up.
Yes, wow. I have always admired that, stand-up.
Yes.
Also because, their hearts are on their sleeves. No matter how tough their act is or how tough and edgy their jokes are, their hearts are on their sleeves. And every new line they're scared about,
It's just you.
Yeah.
And when it goes bad and you have another 18 minutes, there's really nothing like it.
I admire them greatly. I also sort of relate to their insecurity and all that kind of stuff. Most people who gravitate to Hollywood, I think, have a lot of insecurity.
Yes,
looking for a lot of approval.
Because the one thing I find about Hollywood and kind of Los Angeles in general is it's very accepting of all the freaks, and I like that.
Yeah, big time.
That's very true.
You might think it's got to be a town of a bunch of people who really thought they were awesome, but that's weirdly not
completely not the way it is.
No.
Yeah,
it's
completely
counterintuitive.
the opposite. Yeah.
Okay, so by the time you get to Fresh Prince, My question about that is like, the show starts with Will Smith?
Yes, it started with Will Smith and the late, great Quincy Jones. I mean, the highlight of my career was getting to meet Quincy Jones.
Right, because he was a producer of
He was the
right?
producer and the creator, I think. I think he grabbed Will and said, what can we do? And my partner in crime, we cast the show together, Sally Steiner. We drove up to Quincy Jones's house. I think it was Mulholland. It might have been, but we were so starstruck.
Oh, absolutely.
I was always starstruck, and I still am starstruck.
You are still.
No,
come on.
But I've only met you once on an audition years ago, and you don't remember, I'm sure. But you came in,
wanna hear.
pitched from Endeavor as the guy from Punk'd.
Sure.
And those are the days where it was like, you sort of didn't do that if you were a sidekick on Punk'd. Now everybody and their brother from a TikTok video wants to be seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had much longer hair.
Yes, I did.
And it was probably about 2003 because I remember I just finished the pilot of The Office, and Mitch Hurwitz had asked me to do the pilot of Arrested Development. And I couldn't do 2 pilots at once. It was too torture, so I couldn't do the pilot. Deb Barilski did the pilot. Many podcasts name me as the person who did the pilot of Arrested. I just did the seasons.
Okay.
After season 1, she did the pilot, and a beautiful job she did.
Oh, my God.
Wait, what a cast.
I was doing a pilot. John Landgraf was the producer.
Okay,
and
FX
it was
dude,
called.
right?
It was FX, and
Yeah.
it was called all of the early days of those places like FX, and it was called Dix, D-I-C-K-S, and I just remember thinking Dax, D-A-X, is coming in for Dix.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I'm visual learning. But you came in and you were very good, and I remember thinking, oh wow, this
I
this
find
guy
that
from
so
Punk
hard
was
to
good.
believe.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm blown away that you would remember that.
Of course, I remember specifically the agent pitching you when it was Endeavor.
Yeah, Greg Siegel, it would have been.
And saying, yes, he would have said the guy from Punk'd, which of course I didn't know what it was.
Right, of course.
But I had known Ashton Kutcher because there's all these stories that you could connect everybody to everything when you start out.
Yeah.
I had met him on a pilot, a wonderful pilot called Advances in Chemistry that the very brilliant Richie Rosenstock did, again ahead of its time. But he came in to audition for the handsome kid, and he didn't get it because, God bless him at the time, not an actor.
Yeah.
But very handsome. He was only 20 or 19. And then Meg Lieberman brought him in for that 70s show, and the rest is history. Within like 2 days.
I was going to say, I think his story is, and we're very good friends. Yeah, I think it's...
You are? That's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
How do I not know that?
We stayed very, very close. I mean, this dude... You want to talk about casting. So I didn't make it through any of the rounds at MTV for Punk'd.
Yeah.
I was in a discarded pile of tapes that didn't get advanced to the producers. And Kutcher had seen everyone they had basically circled. And he's like, yeah, no one has the vibe. Let me see the people that were rejected. And I was one of the people rejected. So my entire career.
Ashton had done that. No, he hadn't
done
that.
70 show.
Oh, he had done
was
that
like,
70
and he had
show.
done Just Married. So he was like, newly
he
a
was
movie
kind of
star.
hot at the time.
Oh, enormous.
He's definitely physically hot at the time.
Oh,
Yeah. He also was in the zeitgeist.
Breathtaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he dug me out. And so, my gratitude for him is like off the charts. But what I wanted to own my baggage with casting directors.
You do? Okay.
I do. I'll tell you why. It's all my insecurity.
Yeah.
Which was, I was auditioning for 9 years in commercials and I couldn't get them. I just couldn't book anything. I booked 2 in 9 years. I came to view casting directors as people who didn't get me. I'm like, they don't get me. I can't get through this layer to anybody. And then the time that I finally did break through, it turned out, if we believe Ashton, that it was like I still hadn't gotten through the casting directors. So I just had it in my mind, they don't like me. But I have to believe, hopefully, these creators might like me.
Yeah.
That's in everybody's head about everything.
Exactly.
Yes. I was so insecure. I had been almost
We can
a decade.
eliminate that in the world.
I know. It's so true.
I just had it in my mind because I was so insecure that, like, for whatever reason, they don't like me.
And then maybe you were also going in, and because you thought they didn't like you, you might have been being mean.
Well, I don't think I was stupid enough to
Not
be mean.
but you might not have been warm.
I don't think I was dumb enough to not
think
be
you were
warm.
very
I just
cold.
really had it in my head.
Yeah. So
that
did
no
you
one
have a
liked
chip
me.
on your shoulder, would you say?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I just was, I felt like casting directors knew people I was friends with and no one really knew me and I was so insecure. And so I got it in my mind, I've got to get to the other people.
Yeah, right.
Go past these people.
Somehow I got to jump over this gate that's in front of me and get to those people. Because again, when I finally got hired on a TV show, it was from the creator of the show.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
So I got all this, I got such limited data, and I'm telling this huge story based on this very limited data, and I'm completely wrong. And then I come to find out, like, you're saying you liked me, which is...
yeah. I was like, wow, this kid from Punk'd, he's really actually a good actor.
That's so funny. I had the opposite feeling towards casting directors.
Yeah, we talk about them all the time. Like, you know the names of so many casting directors.
I knew about you way before I moved to LA. I was like, oh my God,
that is shocking to me.
She's the person, and
that is shocking.
Like, if I could get an audition, like even just getting an audition with. I remember when it happened, and I was like, this is the craziest day of my life. I was so excited. But to me, casting directors were almost like teachers, like the teacher I wanted the approval from, like the person who was going to give me an A+.
Yeah.
And obviously I wanted the job, but I really wanted the casting director to like me so much.
Yes.
Which I think backfired a lot for me. Because then I wasn't just me. Because once I stopped in commercials, this is like probably bad to say, I did really well in commercials because I didn't care that much.
Yeah.
I just went in and did it. And then lo and behold, you do pretty well when you don't overthink or you can just be you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, casting directors, please love me.
She's a good actress, though.
Oh, yes. I've hired her as an
yes,
yes.
Good.
I put her in Chips, and
sure
I
did.
put her in one of the only commercial I ever directed.
I love Chips.
I can't do it. Oh, God bless you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I did.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
99. You were still on to the end, right? 20.
Yes. I started in season 3.
Okay.
Jeff Garlin is a good and wonderful friend from years, and he brought me on in season 3. And then I was on for many, many seasons, except for a couple seasons where I wasn't available.
But were you there when Monica got to do Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yeah. It's very sweet.
So
Curb,
jealous.
The best. You would have had to play yourself on Curb.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I was famous enough to play myself, and then I was too famous
now
to play.
You can't not play yourself.
Now
the show's over.
Yeah.
I got in. I got a sweet spot right before it ended too.
Yes,
so,
but I did a lot of my self-education then too, because I tried to know every improv person in the universe, because I was lucky enough to be doing The Office, Curb, and Arrested Development, starting with season 2. If you go back and watch, then you'll see the same season. Everybody does Curb, everybody is Arrested, all the same people arrested.
Yeah.
But that was when, from my own history in comedy, nobody got improv actors. Nobody brought them into the fore until it was like Judd Apatow and Paul Feig. From my history. Yeah. I mean, occasionally, for me, it was all casting sitcom pilots, and it was always tough. Tough to find anybody funny.
Yeah.
Tough to find anybody who can pull off the sitcom. And at those days, tough to find anybody great looking enough for a network to approve them.
Right. You had to have a lot of things.
Yeah, you did have to have a lot of things. So that was when Judd started, and Adam McKay and Paul Feig, they started appreciating the fact that most improv actors or comedians who then got into the improv was not in the fore of comedy either when I started. Again, it was all stand-up comics. And improv was still Second City, and it was Groundlings, which were sort of character-oriented.
Yeah. You're right. They were really kind of, there was this huge talent pool that no one was really looking at.
No one, until sort of Second City started to move. I was trying to pluck people out of Second City in the early 90s. I remember going there to see Second City the first time when we were looking for Carlton on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, no kidding.
And they said, I think, can we just go to Chicago and look for some of these kids? Because I don't know. And so I went to Second City for the first time, and that's when I met Jeff Garlin. But on main stage at that time was, Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert and Amy Sedaris and Paul Dinello and Jeff Garland. It was crazy. And Mitch Rouse. Anyway, that history of comedy.
Wow.
But when I started to do a lot of comedy shows and bringing a lot of the improv comedy was like when The State had started and when Kids in the Hall had started.
Yes.
That stuff all came through basically what was then called the Comedy Channel, I think, or Comedy. It was Comedy Central, but at the time it was called something else.
The Comedy Network. There was a great little boom because it was Kids in the Hall, and then The State, and then Ben Stiller had a sketch show, and then you had Mr. Show.
Oh, he started it all as well.
Yes.
I mean, Ben Stiller, very important in comedy. And I think they owe the biggest debt to Mr. Show.
Yeah.
To Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, which would air at midnight on HBO.
A whole new genre.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, we had Jack Black on, and I was telling him, I used to go to the live tapings of that show, and it seemed like just the most
The passed him today on the street.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Was
He's
he in
hard to
tie-dye?
miss. Yes.
Yeah.
He's hard to miss. I had cast him in a couple of day player roles when he was first starting out, and he was very singular, Jack Black, and he could deliver one line and you'd remember it.
Yes.
And he was with the Gage Group very early on in his career. But anyways, so yeah, those are the people that I would remember.
Yes.
And so many became, in every casting office, you have people that you remember and keep bringing in until they sort of get the part that really propels them into a long career.
Yeah, so that was going to be one of my questions. Do you get a swell of pride when you see like a Chris Pratt?
I do.
You have to. I'm so glad.
You cast Parks and Rec.
Yes.
If it's not obvious, you're the only casting director we've ever invited in.
Oh, thank you very much.
And largely because I have someone who didn't learn about casting directors like Monica did. I started noticing, I'm like, this Veep cast is impossible. Who on earth figured out that all these people were this level of brilliance? And that's why I think Veep, when I was like, oh, it's you're, and then I was like, oh, and right. And the other impossible cast would have been Parks and Rec. Wow, you did that. And you've had several of those.
It's insane.
It's just impossible, the level of collective talent and unknown. And I realize, oh, you're a big piece of that. It's kind of like for me when I realize, oh, John Bryan, the composer, might have as much to do with the Paul Thomas Anderson movies that I like, because Eternal Sunshine I also like in the same way, and he has composed both. Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's like a revelation.
Wow.
Oh, maybe I love John Bryan, you know?
Yeah, when all of your favorite comedies, you look and it's you who's casted.
Well,
like,
thank you.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I think this might be about
The music
her.
connection is interesting, though.
Right.
Because music, I do love certain soundtracks, starting with Alfred Hitchcock movies, and they are what connect your fandom, I think, a lot of the time. That's a great point. In features, casting directors always get credited, it seems, the card right after the music, the music editor. And I love that. Yeah.
Okay, so you get a swell of pride when Chris
Oh, God,
Pratt.
yes. And I bore people with all the stories I'm boring you with now.
No, I love
it's
it.
fantastic.
I guess here's my question, because Chris and I were at a hotel once, and he and Annie were there, and we ended up hanging out for 3 days. And I'm like, this guy's so radical.
Yeah,
he's so real. He's from Oregon. He was a wrestler.
Exactly
he's a hunter.
my thought, yeah.
And he's funny.
Pickup truck. He needs to show his funny side again.
I know.
God,
I've been thinking that a lot lately.
And Jack Black needs to show his dramatic side.
Yes.
We have all these thoughts, casting people. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah,
I bet.
What does Kristen need to do? Keep on keeping
She's
on.
doing pretty good.
No, keep on keeping on, but she would be great in a down and dirty drama.
Okay.
Wouldn't she want to? I would
Yeah,
think
of
she'd
course.
want
Such a
to.
good dramatic
She would, and then I always talk her out of it.
Do you really? Why?
I don't talk her out of it. I remind her of what life she wants, which is she wants to be at home seeing her kids. She does not want to be on location. She
Yeah.
wants manageable hours. She wants to know she can drive the kids to school if she wants to. So going away to, Georgia for 4 months in a down and dirty
forget the
drama.
MCU universe for Kristen. Forget that. She should do a real movie, indie movie or something. Queen Pins was great for her.
You cast that.
Frankly, I did.
Yeah.
Was great for
We
her.
love Kirby.
Kirby's the best.
Yeah.
Kirby's a diamond, right?
Yeah, Kirby we've hired forever. The richest talent pool is comedy.
Yeah.
Frankly.
It is.
I mean, my argument, and you would, I think, agree because you've directed now, is so many drama actors, some of them are brilliant at comedy. Going the other way, comedy to drama is much more frequent and much more a surprise.
Yes.
Sacha Baron Cohen is very good in Disclaimer.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I think it's because comedy requires you to be
It requires
paying
a lot of pain.
attention. It does.
I mean,
it does definitely.
And a lot of
require pain.
experience and a lot of beating yourself up and a lot of
Yeah.
stuff to draw from.
And I'm going to add, and people will be mad about this. Comedy's straight up harder than drama.
There are beyond straight up
Math.
harder than drama.
There's so many tools that can be employed in a drama to help you. You could have no look on your face and do the perfect push in and the right
And people
song.
think you're a genius.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no cheating a joke. You can't cheat a laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put a fart noise in or something, but there, in general, it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's no manipulating it. You can't put the perfect song in all
No,
of a sudden
of course
it's funny.
not. Of course not.
Yeah.
Though they try.
They do try,
they?
and
Yeah.
it's generally generic. Okay, can you think of some people that you really went to the mat over that didn't
let me
get
think.
it? that then turned out to be huge. Like, do you feel like you've got some great vindicated stories?
You should have a group casting director thing because people would be shocked at how many people flunked first and then got the big, it's tenacity. It used to be in pilot season that the people who got the roles, the people who didn't get the roles the next season would get the roles. And the next season, the people who didn't even get as far as the network would get the roles. So it's all...
That's good to know.
It is a cycle, though, yes.
Yeah.
It is tenacity.
Can you think of someone that you were like, you just battled and lost?
Oh, yeah. Battled for Elizabeth Banks to get many things. It was mostly like women who studios didn't think were pretty enough.
Yeah.
And we had to go, like Elizabeth Banks. We finally got her in
like,
40-year-old virgin.
Banks
Yeah, she's
isn't
hot
pretty
as
enough.
hell.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
what the fuck?
I know.
No, yeah. Or Amy Adams.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Or funny enough. Both, by the way, wickedly funny. Elizabeth sort of does a lot of comedies, but Amy needs to get back to some good comedy because she's wickedly funny.
Yeah, she needs to just have some fun, maybe.
Yeah.
For a few months.
She's. I'm sure she would like to. Comedy is a little bit in a coma now these days.
Yeah.
It's not a great
So
time.
not many opportunities. Brie Larson is who I was going to mention. Was never. I mean, this is a gorgeous, talented girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she was never good enough for a studio to approve her. They just didn't think she was the leading lady. And then, boom, an Academy Award later and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that I do love.
It would be so hard for me for them to be passing on Brie Larson and Elizabeth Banks and Amy Adams.
And Amy Adams, yep.
And me to be, I would be like, guys,
Yeah.
why are you doing this? You're...
Wait a minute, you're approving Seth Rogen and you're passing on these people.
Exactly. I would be saying it.
Yeah, you've navigated lots of different eras in this business.
Oh, we say it all the time.
So if you're working with a director, they're casting their third movie or show, and you've cast hundreds.
Yeah.
How do you manage not saying like, you're wrong, you're going to have to trust me. This is my expertise.
I try never to go there. Because once I said you're wrong to somebody and I got screamed at. Don't you tell me I am wrong.
You deal with a lot of egos, yeah.
Yeah, you
man.
do.
Yeah.
And you
Don't you ever say I'm wrong and I'm not wrong. And
I've never been wrong.
by the way, he was dead wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was dead wrong and that actor became a huge star. And anyway.
Yeah, see, that would be so... And you deserve to have the ego. Like your resume...
casting directors fight so much for actors. I wish I brought this up recently. I wish actors could appreciate how much we do fight for them.
I got to tell you this is the truth. Generally, I research people, and then in the process of researching them, there's some curiosities that kind of surface,
Sure.
and then I've never sat down and just had questions like I have for you.
No, please.
Have you developed a radar for who's going to be problematic? Like they might be genius level in the room, but do you think you've gotten good at going, yeah, this person's talented, but this is not going to be worth the work?
You can tell when certain people are annoying in the room when they're auditioning that they're going to
Be rough.
They're maybe a little rough on a director. Directors can tell that too. Somebody will read and ask questions or ask the wrong questions. The way you can read people in general.
Yeah.
Even though somebody who waits on you at McDonald's is like that little prick.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I bet she's a great mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The way you can read people, it's just a people reading thing. And yes, I do believe I have instincts for that.
Right.
Though in terms of behavior in the past, I don't ever repeat it unless I've seen it or it's been on a movie that I've worked on. Like somebody will say, don't ever hire that actor. They're difficult.
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's accurate.
That you know it's true.
So many actors get a bad rap because they didn't get on with the director or a producer, and it's actually the director who is the problem.
Yeah.
It happens so much to women.
Yes.
Oh, is that true? So more often you'll hear, don't
This
work with her.
woman is
than him.
difficult, and come on,
I
you
know.
know.
'Cause she
and
has
then
an
you hear
opinion.
the director's name. It's like, oh, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't like all the
Women
women.
still do not have a leg up. You know, they don't.
What pisses you off the most in the casting process?
I'll never work again. All the casting executives, the levels of people that we have to go through,
Right.
and the levels of people that we have to CC and update.
And you're talking about in a studio.
I'm talking about in a studio or film, television. There's so many levels, and it really throws me off my game. And this has been for decades, frankly. In casting, you need, like what we're doing now, we're tracing people back for 30 years.
Yeah.
We need to do that in our brains.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly concerned, as I am, about, oh my God, I forgot to put a name on a list. Oh my God, this person thought of this person. Oh my God, this person's cousin wants to be seen. Oh my God, this person's manager asked me to see this person. You have absolutely the shortest synapses you could possibly have, and you lose that long-term thinking of, who is this person I loved in that show, and I can't remember who it was. And
right. That's what you want to spend your brain power on.
That's what I want to spend my brain power on, and we are exhausted by the end of the day, and that is the only time we have to do it. It's so much more difficult now to actually be creative.
Yeah. Okay, what are your thoughts about improvising in an audition?
Only if you know it's okay. Do a little bit of research. People see me and they think I can improvise, but I will say, okay, this one, don't improvise.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Because some actors will do it.
Yeah.
All these beautiful comics, most of the time they come up with funnier stuff that then is on the page.
Right.
People like Judd Apatow and Paul Feig and Mitch Hurwitz and Adam McKay, they appreciate that.
Yes.
Right.
And they want that. Larry David wants that.
Yes.
But I would say that I will warn them before coming in or tell their agent. And I pray to God the agent tells the manager, who tells the assistant, who tells the assistant, who tells the assistant to the actor, don't improv.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There is a line between comedy people who want to hear every line they write and comedy people who don't care. And they say, you can't make a wrong step. Just, do whatever you want. So, no. Only if you have to ask. You should ask.
Okay.
Please
okay.
ask.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'll think you can't
do the thing.
Right.
Yeah, you can't.
Which maybe I can't.
No, some people.
Listen, I've kind of gone like this.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not giving this advice to any actor at all. I don't think this is a good strategy. Here's what I told myself.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm like, I'm better if I can make this thing just this little bit mine. I'll be better.
Yeah.
I'll be different. It might anger you, but I'll be memorable. Okay. And I've got to be me because this is who you're going to deal with. So it's a favor for all of us if we find out now.
Yeah.
There are other people that are much better at this, if that's what you want, than I am. Here's the thing I can do well. Maybe that'll appeal to you or not. Like at some point, I feel like, and maybe it was just an attempt to get some control over the experience, which feels very powerless, of like, I'm going to give you what I am, and you maybe you'll like it, maybe you'll hate it.
Yeah. I think that's great. I do, depending on what the role. If you're in there for Judd or somebody, you should absolutely do that, because I find myself, I'll publicly apologize to Beck Bennett now, because once he came in for a pilot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and after the audition, I said, wait, Mike, can he do it again? Because he can be better. It just came out of my mouth. Bring it way down, something like that.
Yeah.
And then he was great. He had chosen to make the character big, and some people, and I love Beck Bennett.
Yes.
Get the guy a major movie and a major show, if I'm allowed to say that.
And when you say Mike, you're talking about Sure?
Mike Sure, yes.
We love.
The best of the
That's
very
why
best.
his shows are spectacular. Plug for the new Ted Danson show, which is spectacular. You guys are going to love it.
Kristen just did a little thing on it.
I know. I didn't get to go to that, but I know she did a little bit. But yeah, Mike Shore is a director who's a dream, because he wants to see who you are. And he doesn't care about the words. He does ultimately, but he doesn't, because you find stuff there that you would bring to it, or that Beck Bennett would bring to it, that is not on the page, and you do need to show them who you are.
And you got to be able to do the thing. I understand. I totally
you have to be able to
it.
do the thing.
I think a mix is always good. Like if you, for the most part, stick to the sides the whole time, but maybe you improvise on the button, or you like add a little something.
You better ask.
Okay, great. Okay.
Or else they will say, I've had major comedy people go, he changed my line. And I'll always be defensive of the actor. Always.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't like it when they make fun of an actor. I'm always defensive
When
of the
they
actor.
leave,
Or what they wore. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, what do you think about coming in character and foregoing the chit-chat before the actual
I was going to
audition?
ask you that.
Yeah.
What do actors like? Because I always try to make an actor feel at home when they come in.
Yes.
But I realize I should ask the actor, do you just want to come in and do it and then talk?
It's got to be project specific, right?
Drama, no chit-chat.
Yeah.
I've come into things, I remember I almost got on True Detective. So I go into that and I'm like, you know what? I want to get to the acting as quickly as possible, because I am funny in real life and I'm joyous. And then I don't want to like have that huge radical shift.
Yeah.
For you, I'd rather just come in, be polite, and do the thing and let you see that I can be a badass and then leave. But I don't know. I feel like it's project specific.
I mean, I've always just being, I think, empathetic to actors when they come in, because no matter who it's in there, it's a dead room, and coming into audition for comedy is ridiculous. You're in a vacuum and you're trying to be funny.
And they've seen it 45 times.
Exactly, and it's a ridiculous task.
Yeah.
So that's why I also think self-taping is a beneficial.
Great.
People
that
think
was one
it
of my
isn't, but it's
questions.
beneficial.
That's changed.
But you come in, and then I always want to know if I should ask actors, can I say something and make a joke? I always try to just make some sort of joke or mention I just saw them in something, but I'll get a feel. I do have a feel for if they kind of just want to start. Because what I am cut off from is how much preparation, I appreciate it, but how much preparation you folks have done and how you've talked yourself out of it and how you beat yourself up.
The whole car right there.
The
lobby
really.
is the worst. The lobby is you're listening to other great comedians.
And you see the same people. Can I tell a small anecdote?
Yes, please.
Donald DeLionne's movie, he did a movie of Yogi Bear.
Yes.
Which was lovely. People should discover that for their kids or put it on Netflix, which was lovely. And I was bringing in the greatest comedy people ever. Dan Aykroyd was willing to come in and read for Yogi Bear. He was perfect. But of course, the studio thinks they have to hear him do it, which is ridiculous.
Right.
But that's the other thing. I'm like, just hire this person, but that never works. He came in, and then Rob Corddry came in, and he said, I have to follow Dan Aykroyd. And I instantly was like, God, I know. Because my generation, I was starstruck to even meet Dan Aykroyd.
Yes, of course.
But you see who's coming in. Who came in before you?
Yeah,
it's so rough.
It's the
such
worst.
a mind fuck. Like, oof,
You're already nervous, and then you see, these four guys are definitely better than me.
I have to cut myself off from, or else I'll just be too much jelly of sympathy.
I was going to say
is
that.
how much preparation. And when they leave, it always just blows me away. Somebody who gives an incredible audition and who you can tell worked on it so hard.
Yeah.
It's like, that is impressive. That is how you audition.
Right.
Yeah, you can't take on everyone's energy. The amount of energy that, oh my God, that you have
But
to
God bless actors from A to Z.
That's very gracious.
Honest to God.
gracious.
But, some of them come in not prepared at all.
Right.
And then you're like, just leave. You're a jackass.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
What's the number one mistake you see actors make?
I would say not with me, but when you're in with a big director, a big producer, doing it and saying, I didn't like that. Can I do it again?
Great. Good tip.
That is a
People
good
can
tip.
do
I'm
it,
sure I've done
but
it.
sometimes
You better be fucking great that next adjustment
I
you
think
gave
so,
yourself.
and I think sometimes you sort of want to wait for the director to do that. Get a feel for the room, be prepared, and don't come in. And I know you can be nervous, and I will try to help. Is that the camera? Am I looking? That's what actors do.
Yeah.
I would say just sort of read the room sometimes, and don't come in and say, I just got the sides last night, so I'm not prepared. You don't.
Yeah,
of course, that's an old trick some actors have done for decades.
Right.
I will already know which actor's going to come in and go, I just got the sides last night.
Okay, great. These are great tips.
And don't chew gum in an audition unless it calls for it. A lot of people are insecure and they'll eat food or chew gum in an audition.
Food?
All the
Bring a
time.
big sandwich.
Oh, you asked me about
so
what do you think about
crazy.
coming in character?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see freaking people out, or I can see it really working.
And you mean coming in character, being the character, not dressed like a policeman or something?
Well, that's two
That
questions,
too.
I guess.
Well, self-tapes, I think it's fine to look like the person.
Right. Why not?
Totally, because studio executives who approve these parts, you're in a cop uniform, they're going to think, he can be a cop.
Yeah. It does a lot of the work for you.
Yeah, they think surface things.
Yeah.
God bless them, but most of them think surface things.
Yeah, they're juggling different things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you do have a group of executives who are unbelievably tuned into the creative part of it, but many are not.
Right.
But I would say come in character with comedy. I think it's okay. I wouldn't say you have to. But for example, J.B. Smoove came into audition for Curb as the character he had made up. And he came in, Larry David.
Yes.
He came in instantly. Larry was on the floor.
Right.
He had the part immediately, basically.
Yeah.
So you got to be pretty confident when you do it. You got to be good
gotta
and
be
you got to
full
be
on.
confident because then it won't hurt you, in my opinion.
I could see someone going, this is a little scary. I need to know the real person.
Yeah, exactly. Frequently also, when the scene is done, you get a feel for the person.
Right. Yes.
The way in Borat, the Ken Davician, who played his assistant in Borat in the first Borat movie, came in with what Sasha did not know, but with a very authentic Eastern European accent. And then after he was done, after he got the part, we told him he was American.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's great.
So that was smart. And Sasha was blown away.
Yeah.
Because we Ali G'd him. I mean,
Right.
Yeah. Okay, what's the hardest role you've ever had to cast? Meaning you read the most amount of people and traveled the greatest distance.
McLovin.
Oh, really?
Everybody knows what McLovin is. Yes.
Oh.
I would say it was the toughest role ever to cast because it took months and months. But pre-internet, I think we did some sort of a MySpace thing, but that was the first big internet thing, right? MySpace?
Yes.
Yeah. And it turned up nobody. And those are days you still put up flyers in high schools and things like that.
Wow.
But Judd wanted, and I knew I wasn't turning up a good geek. You know, I know I can recognize a good geek.
Yeah.
And Judd was like, no. Michael Cera first came in from McLovin.
Oh, wow.
And then it was apparent he was perfect. That was right after he finished Arrested Development. So he wasn't a star yet. People were still, you know, we still had to read every kid in town to play Seth and Evan.
Yes.
Judd first only wanted kids who were actually 18 or 19. So at the time, Jonah was a little bit too old. We wanted him to do the table read, and no, Judd wanted kids younger.
Yeah.
So I sort of ignored kids who were older than 19 or 20. And then it did dawn on Judd, wait a minute, Jonah looks like a baby. Of course he can do this. And then Michael Cera came back and read as Seth. And of course, wait a minute.
Or Evan.
Or Evan.
One of the two.
Already got. But McLovin, I wanted to find the most amazing nerd ever. Greg Mottola did too. And I knew I wasn't turning anybody up. This is casting people know when they're not deliver, and you had to keep looking. And so we put up flyers in high schools, and I still have a copy of my flyer. It was attention nerdy high school boys. Call this number or fax your picture to this number. The little headshot of Christopher Mintz-Plasse came through a bad fax. His forehead was stretched out when the picture came through. I was like, okay, we're going to see this kid. Yeah. We had sent, and my associate at the time, Delia Frankel, had looked up improv classes in high schools. So we had sent them around to high schools, and they were calling us. And I think the way he got was one of his friend's mothers said, there's a flyer for a nerdy high school kid, Christopher. I think you should submit it. So he came in. Judd saw it instantly. Other people did not. I did. Judd did.
Yeah.
The reason I thought he was funny is because he said in part of the dialogue, part of the scene was he had to name his character McLovin. He said McLovin instead of McLovin. Cracked me up just the way he said it. Those are the little things you recognize in comedy.
Yeah.
And he was just like Coke bottle glasses kind of a kid, the same way that Martin Starr was when he came in he read for all 3 male roles in Freaks and Geeks, all the geek roles. And he was just like, bingo, he's one of them. He's one of them. Yeah. And knew what he was doing. He came in and he was like, wow, look at the way this kid looks, and he can act.
Right.
Wow. Same with Tim Simons when he came in for Veep. Thank you for that compliment, by the way. Veep and Parks and Recs knocked me out, those casts. And I'm not saying it to pat myself on the back. They just knocked me out. How good they are.
They're
impossible.
It's all an act of faith, all of it. And they knocked me out.
We heard he was a casting assistant.
He was at some point. I think he was. I don't know specifically.
But not for Veep.
But, I mean, you know Tim. The way I found Tim, and it's a great sort of casting story. I should get into the Phyllis story, too. Am I taking you over too much time?
We love it.
One of my associates at the time, Peter Kousakis, who's now a great manager at Mosaic, he said, would you meet my friend Tim Simons? Did you see that Abraham Lincoln commercial when she says, does this make my butt look big? And I said, oh, yeah, that tall guy. He's cool. Of course, I would see him. I'd love to see new people, of course, as all casting people do. And I met him. I think we just brought him in to read for something, and it was like, oh, he's really good. We put that in our head bank, and I brought him in shortly thereafter, I think, for one thing that he didn't get. And then I brought him in for the Veep pilot, which was written as like a short, stocky chain smoker, is what it was written as. And any good casting director, you don't really read the writer's description because you need to just bring in good people.
Yes.
So he came in, and he was killer funny we read great people for the Veep pilot because that writing is Armando Iannucci. And Julia came in for the sessions and read with people. Yeah. So that was very enjoyable. But Tim came in and killed it. But his competition was stiff. And when we got to the network at HBO, he was great. And after talking, I was able to hear how they came to the conclusion that Tim Simons was the way to go. And again, against some very big comedy people.
Yeah.
And Julia would talk about it and how she wanted to act with these people. Julia was a large part of picking that cast.
Was she?
She said about Tony Hale versus the competition for Tony Hale, I would not be embarrassed to ask Tony Hale to get me a Tampax.
Right.
And that's how he decided he would be the perfect bag man. She said, Tony would not embarrass me. The other person might embarrass me. Right. And it turns out that, though, we ended up using all the runner-ups in recurring roles on Veep.
What a friggin' cast.
Wait, do you want to tell Phyllis?
Oh, Phyllis. I don't know if this is generally known. I think it is that Phyllis was my associate for 7 or 8 years. And we were casting the pilot of The Office. With Ken Kwapis, we were in the room reading the final. We had 2 days of final testing for all the different combinations we could use for The Office. I was reading and Phyllis was filming.
Yeah.
And Ken Kwapis just sort of tiptoed over to me and said, let Phyllis read with the actors because I think she might be good in the background. It was like, of course she would. Look at the people in the British office in the background. They're real-looking people.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we let Phyllis read, and she went in to read with the test between like Krasinski and Jenna and a lot of other people. I had previously been reading with Steve and a few other people. And she was great. And then Greg decided, we were so excited. And then Greg, when he faxed over the pilot, and there was one line for Phyllis, we went nuts.
How exciting.
Because at the time,
So
Phyllis was going to make like
special.
$630 for the day. And that was exciting, SAG scale.
Yes.
Yeah, in 2003, right about the time I met Dax Shepard. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned a new thing. This wasn't one of my questions, but it just occurred to me talking about technology. Clearly now, a big driver of who gets cast is like what their following is.
Not in what I work on.
Okay,
no.
good.
Okay.
Good.
Well, even
I like
Bill,
that.
Bill was saying.
See, I wouldn't have a clue. And if somebody says to me, oh, they have so many followers or they're this on TikTok, it's not a negative for me, but it means, well, they're not a trained actor.
Yeah.
Maybe they're funny. I'll look at a clip and it's like, that person's not going to be able to act. And I've been
Right.
wrong many times.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
usually it's a version of that.
How about this? What percentage of the roles on the shows and movies that you're casting already have stars attached? And is that
Almost 100%. Movies have to have a star attached to
Right.
get it made.
Yeah.
To get any financing, you probably need 2 or 3 to get it financed, no matter how low the budget. Even maybe the lower the budget, you need the
Even
financiers
more.
to say, we got Kristen Bell, we
Right.
got Dax Shepard.
Right. Well, let's not play it too
We got
fast
Monica
and loose.
Padman and Dax Shepard.
Now we're
Now we're
adding,
talking.
we're adding up to like half a
Chris
Kristen
into
Bell.
the mix. All 3, it's looking pretty
And
good.
TV frequently now for the streamers, they probably have a project attached to, like I'm currently doing Bill Lawrence's show with Steve Carell.
Right.
But we're casting everybody around him.
Yes. So what is your preference? Do you like to start with a clean slate or do you like
Oh,
that?
I love to start with a clean slate.
Yeah.
The Office, we started with a clean slate.
And would you
know?
prefer to break unknowns or?
Yes.
Yeah.
In comedy, for sure.
It's got to be more rewarding for you.
It's so much more rewarding to give someone a break.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
earlier you said this. You said, I love meeting new people,
Yeah.
as all casting directors do, but I don't think that's true. I think you're an exception. I think a lot of casting directors, they don't necessarily want to see anyone new. They want like reliable people they already know, and I think it's special.
I don't know about that. I couldn't speak for other people.
Well, I think it's
you may be
special.
more of an expert in that than I, but I know that people like to. We all have our favorites.
Yeah.
Based on how we perceive the talent and how they can deliver and how they haven't been given a shot to do it yet. It was like I'll read something and think, oh, this is perfect for Monica Padman, or this is perfect for Rory Scovel or something, and they haven't been given that huge shot yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's an exception. I really
you
do.
really do? I don't know.
I think it's special.
Have you had people who you know are so talented and you've seen them be so talented and they just can't audition?
Oh, plenty, especially in comedy.
And is it heartbreaking?
So
and what do
many.
you-
It's heartbreaking because my job then is to talk the director into it and to show them stuff or another audition where they've done it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it just doesn't. People will listen to you and then people won't listen to you.
Yeah, I got to say there's like one of the, I think, more difficult things about this job is you could, like, I don't know how good Daniel Day-Lewis is as an auditioner.
He would probably be the worst auditioner.
He probably would be.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a different skill set. It's almost the closest they'll get to stand up.
Yes, exactly.
They don't have any of the environment. They don't have the other actors.
There's the reverse. There are people who are great auditioners who then on the set, you don't get anything more from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the line reading from the audition. However, a kid who was great from the time he was 12, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's talk about Once
Beyond.
Upon. I gotta say, in the last 10 years, the performance that has blown my mind more than any other, and I watch the movie all the time, is Once Upon a Time. Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie is so next level. I don't think people are recognizing that he's playing 3 levels of actor. He is an actor.
Yep.
Playing an actor.
Yep.
Who's okay sometimes, and then he has a moment where he's great.
Exactly.
But he's not as great as Leonardo DiCaprio can
Yeah.
be great. He's as great as that actor can be great.
Yep.
And when you really when you see what's going on in that scene and what he's having to juggle, It's so impressive. I just find it's mind-blowing.
He has never given a bad performance.
Yeah.
He's always almost
true.
better than some of the movies he's in.
Absolutely.
He can Killers of the Flower Moon. Any other actor in that part would have been like they were doing a role from a sketch in Hootenanny. You know,
Yes.
it was like, are you kidding me? Yeah. He was heartbreakingly good in that role.
Yes.
And he was so over the top. And the version of that in comedy is like Steve Carell as Michael Scott. So over the top, but still unbelievably real and good.
So
You got to be a
real.
genius to pull those off.
Well, Allison Jones, this has been such a delight.
And a delight for me. I could talk to you guys for hours.
Oh, same.
You're the best.
You're so sweet and wonderful. And I guess my single last question is, you refuted my claim of 42 years, but it is 41 years.
Might be 41 and a half, but just say 41.
How on earth have you kept your stamina to stay hungry? And your job is so hard and the hours are so crazy. How have you stayed like hungry and dialed
Only
in?
because I like it. However, the past 10, 15 years, it's a different business. In terms of what we do and in terms of pressure you get from top-heavy things. And things have changed completely.
You're like a doctor that has to do managed care now with an insurance provider.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. And even since streaming has started, it's incredibly different. I mean, you go to one of these streamers and we become just data entry people.
Right.
Everything's put into an algorithm. I hate the word algorithm.
Yeah.
They've the algorithmized creativity, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
But they have, and they've tried in terms of payment and who to cast and what's going to appeal to a certain group of people overseas or here. Netflix is doing that a little too much, I think.
Yeah.
Just in my very humble opinion.
Right.
It's not a humble opinion. Your opinion, again, if you
your
look at
batting
your
average is
resume,
fucking
is
ridiculous.
Oh,
insane.
please.
I was right to be so excited to get an audition
Well,
from
you're
you.
so kind.
You're a legend. Truly.
thank you very much.
We're super honored that you
As
came
are
and
you guys.
chatted with us.
My assistant, Hannah, freaked out when I told her I was doing this.
Well, she did.
Yeah. I'm afraid I'm not a podcast person either, and I should be because I'm a true crime person more than anything.
Oh, then you're missing out on
I know.
Yeah.
But I Googled Armchair Expert, and I typed too fast, and it said Armchair Expert. I'm not kidding.
That should be another show we do.
Armchair Expert.
You
Yeah.
know, I have.
I need one.
I have arm hair. Yeah, it's literally same.
Fuck, I forgot one question I want to ask.
Yeah,
and this
yeah,
is
yeah.
this is a nosy question.
No,
but
sure.
When you have a track record like yours and someone wants to cast a comedy, starting with you is like starting with Jimmy Burrows.
Thank you.
Do
is.
you get to participate ever in the success of a show?
No, and I
You
wish I
don't.
had. I've on a couple of indies I have.
Yeah.
And
You mean
one of
financially,
them
by
has
the way.
paid off extremely well. But casting directors, we can't even get paid ads. I mean, we just don't get anything because studios don't care and they don't understand.
That's
no.
insane.
I feel like you should be a participant.
You should be
with
so
your
rich.
level.
you can on indie
How rich
movies
are you?
because they do need you to attach some of their leads, things like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
no, on television, never. If I had residuals on shows like Boy Meets World, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Office,
The
I'd be
Office.
retired right now and I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
But no, we do not, and I wish we did. That's the next step for our negotiating with the. This year, I was able to help negotiate with
Oh, you
the
were?
AMPTP and the
Oh,
Teamsters,
okay.
and it was fascinating. And we can only go baby step by baby step.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when we could ever participate, especially in a cast like The Office, which you do from scratch,
Yes.
and people do know your value as a casting person.
Yes.
In a comedy, basically, I do know I have value.
Yes, of course.
Creatively,
Should.
anyway.
Yes.
But thank you for asking that because no, we
Yeah.
almost get paid within the same pay range too. I don't get paid much more than.
Anybody else. It's kind of like, when you're a director of a TV show, you get the DGA minimum. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you've had a great career. Now, if you're Burroughs, you can obviously negotiate ownership of the show to do the pilot.
That's
but-
how they make money, right?
Yes.
The ownership of the show. Anybody who gets to do a pilot, very good. Jim Burrows is
Burroughs
so wealthy.
is so.
Yeah, oh my God.
Think of the pilots he's
Warner
done.
bought the fucking Red Sox.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Yeah. Although, again, that too has changed.
What do you mean? It's changed.
Well, Seinfeld would sell into a cycle of syndication for $800 million.
yeah.
And in the streaming world, none of these shows that have been like on the air for 6 years
I
get sold
know.
into syndicate. People don't get like Mike Schur. One of my
No,
questions. I
exactly.
said, Mike, do you ever lament the fact that if you had the exact same career you had in the 80s and 90s, you would have $800 million? He
Yes.
goes, yeah, I think about that a lot.
One of my very early pilots was for a very big then TV producer named James Comack, who did Sanford and Son, and he did all the cool shows.
Yeah.
And he had a big home in Beverly Hills that he called Casa Syndication.
Oh my God.
So come on. Yeah. But that's a lovely question to ask about if we participate. Because and I wish I did.
No, and you should.
And I wish I had. It'll never happen.
It's kind of bonkers.
Not in my lifetime.
Crazy to me.
Or stock options. I'll take stock options too.
Yeah, you deserve
I used to sit in Netflix. Okay, don't pay me, but give me a mutual fund of Amazon. Netflix, put a mutual fund out and pay us that way.
Yeah.
And then when you get rich, we get rich.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Allison, I look forward to
Dax
seeing
and
you
Monica.
again. We adore you. This has been so fun. I'm so glad you agreed to do it.
Likewise.
And I
Thank
hope
you
your
so
nerves
much.
dissipated. You gave a
It's dissipated. I was so excited when you emailed.
You're definitely getting called back to producers. I can tell you in the room.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, be well.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for the fact check. It's where the party's at.
Yeah, but it's fine.
I think he's I don't know what the word is.
Sturdy.
I was going to say fighter. That's not right. I went clinger. Like maybe he's, because I wouldn't call a sloth a fighter.
Right.
By God, can they hang upside down indefinitely?
That's true. That is true.
So maybe he's sloth-like
He wants to show up for his friends.
and for the holiday.
Yeah.
What is that thing, Monica? Is that a person or a
It's
reindeer
like a
or a ram?
reindeer.
Those horns should be kind of informative.
I think he's
guess.
a bear reindeer.
It's just a big old with two big horns.
from
Or those
Pottery
his
Barn
ears
Kids.
or hers. I shouldn't genderize.
I think those are ears and then
Some antennas.
horns.
I see some metal
I
antennas
thought
on.
those were reindeer
Is it remote
horns.
control?
That's our hat.
Yeah,
Archery's
and to
hat.
put it on the very top made it leave frame.
Yeah, so he's just sitting on some branches.
Yeah, he's almost summited that
He's a
tree.
He's a he.
Yeah, it's let's call it what it is.
Yeah, it's festive in here.
Okay, so we just scrambled, right? Because we're
looks
setting up
great.
for the holiday episode.
Yeah, which we should tell. We have a holiday episode coming up. It's a bonus episode.
It's a bonus extra episode.
Yes.
On the 20th.
That's a coming.
That's the 20th is when it's
It
coming.
will be on YouTube, though.
Of course, it's going to be everywhere.
I think people should watch it on YouTube.
Oh, big time. You're going to have some A-list singers dropping through. Going to have some present reveals. Going to have a lot of decor. This is only a taste of what Wobby Wob's got more stuff planned.
Great.
As he does. This tree has been stolen from my daughter's room. So I had a really great meditation this morning.
Great.
It's been a long time since I had a great one.
What constitutes a great meditation?
I think what adds up to it is like, can I stop ruminating? Can I not think about our employers during my meditation? Can I achieve that goal? And so I took a different tactic with my mantra a little bit, which was and we don't need to get this in detail, but I was just literally like, you have to say the mantra 5 times and just concentrating with some limited thing. Then I could buy myself 5 more. All to say, when it's really great, I lose a sense of my body, which is really fun. Like I know how I'm sitting, but I can't really feel my hands or my legs anymore. Like I can tell I'm kind of detached from my body. And then I'll often get blasts of light. I'll start seeing like lights in there's a word for this in TM, but I don't know what it is. I've heard Howard talking about it, but I'll get some light activity in my detached state from my body. And anyways, when I came out of it, and that's why I'm telling you about it, is when it ended all by myself in my room, I said, "Hey y'all, really great meditation."
Wow. That was the first thing out.
It was.
That's great.
That's the power of TM. It opened up my creative channels enough to go, "Hey y'all, really great meditation."
That's good.
And then I thought, of course, need to have an app that just at the end of your thing you hear, "Hey y'all, really great meditation."
That would be great. People would buy it. Are you done with your Christmas shopping?
Oh
Completely?
man, I'm afraid to even think about that. I mean, I know I've gotten a bunch and I've certainly forgotten people, and it's going to,
Yeah.
as much as this is my holiday, as you know, it's my favorite. God, do I cherish every day of it. In fact, I hate that it's coming.
Yeah.
I hate that there'll be a day where it ends.
Yeah, I know.
And so the girls will be like, they're in a hurry. And I'm like, no, guys, just pump the brakes.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy. It's so much more fun anticipating it. But the only part I can't stand about it is the test of your love for others by how thoughtful your gift was.
Sure.
And then I was thinking, I got a little cynical for a minute. I was like, they really got us with this racket. I mean, what an incredible racket for consumerism. It's like, you have to go buy something for everyone you care about.
Yeah.
That's the rules.
Well, it's not always the rules. You can make new rules. Like Secret Turkey, we have to make our gifts. You don't have to go out and buy. It's just taking time to think about people.
Yeah. What if at Christmas morning, everyone sat around and you go, I thought about you. Like that was the present.
That would be nice.
Well, that'd be like the Grinch who stole Christmas. Maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store.
Wow. Dr. Seussian.
Seussian.
Yeah. Your favorite word.
You know this. This is a blast from the past. But Crosby's houseboat, which was
Parenthood.
in Sausalito Harbor in real life.
Okay.
The first time we ever shot on it, it was an actual boat. And then it, of course, was in a soundstage down here. But it was originally in Sausalito. 2 boats over from Crosby's boat was Dr. Seuss's boat. He had a houseboat in Sausalito.
And he still had...
It was still his boat. I guess it was his wife's at that point.
His wife's still alive?
She was in 2000, whatever year we filmed the pilot.
Whoa.
Wobby Wob, give us a update on Mrs. Seuss.
His second wife
Okay.
died in 2018.
Yeah, that's way after we shot. Another blast from the past. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Some scholarly detective armchair. A lot of people know this whole thing because they came in COVID. My endless fucking thing about the American soldiers getting the English women pregnant during World War II.
Yeah.
They found the book I'm talking about. You know who wrote it?
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. No, Margaret Mead.
Oh.
That's a Margaret Mead book. It's almost impossible to get. There's like 5 libraries in the country.
What's it called?
I could tell you.
Yeah, we need to
tell
know.
you right friggin' now. But not only am I not insane that I imagined that whole thing, it's Margaret Mead, godmother of Anthro. It's called The American Troops in the British Community, an examination of the relationship between the American troops and the British by Margaret Mead.
Is this the pumping the brakes thing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That her conclusion was culturally in America, women have the brake pedal, men have the gas pedal. But in England, men have the brake pedal, women have the gas pedal. You get a couple folks with the gas pedal. I had an anecdotal experience with a gal.
You did.
Who I adore.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to ask all British people if they agreed with this, and pretty much no one did.
Well, I remember it as being like 50-50, but.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then but in my pursuit of figuring out what the hell I had read, of course, I stumbled upon a bunch of other academic papers on this same topic, because there's this huge term, war babies. There was like this, And so one of the theories or conclusions was another element is that in America, kissing's nothing. Anyone will kiss, you kiss on a first date, whatever. But that in the steps of progression in England in 1942, kissing was very far down the road. You would have held hands. You would have done all this other stuff. Like, I guess kissing was like, you're there. If you've committed to kissing, you're pretty much committed to banging. And so there was some miscommunication there where the American GIs were like, let me put one on you. And then those gals were like, oh my God, I think we're going to have sexual intercourse. This is so intimate. Not as intimate as holding hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, the most intimate is holding hands. I have to basically be about to marry you in order to hold my hand.
That would be so weird to be dating you, had have made out, rolled around, lots of sex, go to grab your hand and you always pull it away. That would be freaky.
Well, this happened. I went on a couple dates with someone and they held my hand and
you were ready.
Was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, let's do anal, but let's not do this.
Way too intimate. Way too intimate.
Where do you think that stems from?
I guess the only real memory I have of having my hand held is as a kid from my parents.
Yeah, sure.
Or my grandparents or someone like making sure I was safe.
Yes.
It wasn't just, no one in my family just holds hands.
Oh.
They don't. Yeah, I think it's odd too, but it's my life. So my parents don't hold hands or anything. Okay. So it wasn't a symbol of like romantic affection. It was a symbol of safety. And that's extremely intimate.
Yeah.
So unless you're about to propose, you're not allowed to hold my hand.
Grab that hand when it's time to propose. I hold hands on the ride to school every morning.
Yeah.
If I'm in the car with them and they're in the front seat, we're holding hands.
Yeah. I feel like you hold Kristen's hand, you hold people's hands.
I hold Aaron's hand.
Yeah.
Hand holding is very nice.
I think it's very nice.
Yeah. Very intimate for you.
It is. It is. Okay, do I have my Christmas presents done? Not really. This year, I didn't feel like there was a perfect gift for anyone, really.
Yeah.
So so far I haven't got the satisfaction that I normally get in buying presents. But that's okay. You can't win every time.
Right. And so what I'm grateful for is you have experienced how I mostly experience buying presents. Like, I hope they like this. This will do. Yeah. They'll know I thought of them.
Well, I know everyone will like it.
Sure. You got good taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, I'm not feeling like I'm so excited for everyone to open their gifts
their faces.
And see it. And and it's so thoughtful. It's like, not as thoughtful this year, but it's okay.
I've already had some mix-ups, so use your gift guide. Everyone should.
A lot is sold. You said a lot was sold out, and I thought you were just being nice, but then I went on to send some stuff to my mom to buy me, and because she needs a written list.
Yeah,
and a lot was gone.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted stuff off of that gift
Virtually
guide too.
nothing. The only thing I could get is when I'd be on the website and then I'd start sniffing around for other items.
Sure.
Those glasses, adorable glasses, which they didn't have the first time I was at that website.
Oh, they got back in stock?
Then I was there for some other business. So anyways, I sent them to my sister-in-law.
Cute.
And they arrived and they just opened up the box and then she sends me a text. I like these. I'm like, how could you have thought you didn't have to wait till Christmas?
Well, she
thought. But it's not her fault. It's not her fault. Slow down. Slow down, Dax. She goes, oh my God, your brother feels terrible. So what happened was the box came. My brother just opened it. He knows I didn't get him fucking set of glasses.
Yeah.
So he just like, oh yeah, Dax got you these glasses. But but clearly it's Christmas. You want to hear the gross thing I did too?
Yeah, what'd you do?
So she's like, oh, I like them. And then I'm like, I need her to know they're not kids. I didn't get those at I didn't get them at a fast food restaurant. I'm like,
of course not. They're nice.
I respond, yeah, those are Monica's fancy glasses. Like I enlisted you. I was like, yeah, she knows if I said these are Monica's, she's gonna go like, ooh, he spoiled me.
Oh, that's nice. That is really nice.
Is that store not in America?
It's not.
Okay, great. So this is a grievance I have. I went nuts there. And they use DHL, which I guarantee is a phenomenal service. This is no shade to DHL, but I think it must work easier in Europe.
Sure.
This is a ton of text and it just standard is a signature. No.
I know.
Fucking standard's no signature, guys, unless I say signature. So then I got to go, every single item I bought from that place, which is a lot, I had to go and fill out the forms to make sure that they could be left on the porch. But I have my texts from DHL. I probably have 40 texts from DHL in the last week. And every time I think, no, this one's just an update. It's not the consent form for the no signature. Sure. I already did that.
Oh, boy. Yeah. The signature can get very stressful.
Listen to my complaints in life.
What?
I just got completely ashamed of my complaints in life. Like we live in an era where I can see something that's gorgeous and then it'll arrive somewhere and I'm like so flummoxed
by it. I have to sign for it.
I had to click my phone twice.
It's true. It's true. But this is what happens with technology. We just get accustomed
to it being quicker and quicker and quicker and easier and easier.
Yeah. And we want it to be, I mean, again, we've talked about this a lot, but like the amount of minutes my brain has spent on wishing there was teleportation and really wishing, like thinking like I think that's coming and that needs to come now.
And like, it's about time, like actually frustrated.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I try to explain to the kids that, like, yeah, I had a cassette tape. It was 60 minutes long. If I wanted to listen to my favorite song over and over again, I had to rewind forever. And then who knows where you land?
Who knows?
You can't land on your song.
No.
You're always going to be listening to the back half of a song you don't want to listen to.
Sure. I know. Wild.
You're in all black today.
Well, I think these
You look great.
Thank you.
Yeah, very smart outfit.
Thank you. But I think these are actually dark navy.
Yeah. I don't want to do
They
this.
They are.
Let me guess, your shoes and socks aren't white. They're titanium white.
I bought these at a store. And when I bought them, they were navy.
On the description.
I think so.
Okay.
I want to be honest and say I don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure they were.
I'm ensnared in it. Here we go. There's no way those are navy.
Hold on.
I can't sit here and have you saying that those are navy. It's the same color as your shirt.
On the TV, it kind of looks navy.
Oh,
It does?
great. Here we go. This is a constant double cross
Good
from Wobby
job.
Wop.
Well, I don't know if in person, though. Well, blown up. It's just kind of shimmery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob, for being honest, speaking your mind.
You have something on Rob. There's something
You both
behind
have great points. I think it could be both.
Look, I will say.
I'm straddled.
I know. I will say that normally I'm more, it's navy. Like I feel very definitive about it.
Yeah.
I'll give you that these, a couple times I've thought, are
Those
these
aren't.
black? But then they're not.
Okay. I would prefer you go like, these aren't navy. That's the kind of reaction.
Oh, you prefer me to say these aren't navy than are these black?
Yeah, I just think it's funny to go, like you've been duped. You just go, these aren't navy, just to yourself.
Right.
You don't think that's funny?
I just think it's literally the exact same thing. This is like what happens on sets where there's a line written and the person, normally the writer, says like, oh, this is the best way to say it.
Writer.
Sometimes me.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes me.
Exactly. And says, well, no, I've dissected that this is the funniest way to say it.
Yeah.
And then the actor, whoever, will say the same line. And then the original person is like, oh, no. Can you go back? Can you say...
Well, unfortunately, that's actually the script supervisor's
navy
job, which is so unfair because they don't give a fuck what you say.
I don't care.
And they're pitted right between the actor and the writer.
Yeah. This isn't navy and is this black?
Yeah, those are pretty substantively different.
No, they're not.
I think so.
No, they're not.
Like if you had written the line, say your line again.
Are these black?
That's really good. You sold it this time. So I'll try that. I'll do one your way and then you pick in the edit.
Okay.
Are these black? That's kind of a
that was
new
really
read
good.
on it. Yeah.
New read.
Different.
Is this navy?
It was like an acting exercise. I didn't want to do it exactly how you did.
No, but do the navy one now.
Oh, didn't I? No, I was doing yours.
Oh, but I want you to do both so I could pick in the edit.
Oh.
My God. You told me. You set this up.
That's lunch, everybody. We didn't get to it.
I was leaving for lunch.
Oh my God.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Time for a break from the fact check to thank our presenting sponsor, Amazon Prime. Prime has you covered with movies, music, and everything you need for all of your fave holiday traditions. Whatever you're into, it's on Prime.
What type of traditions are we talking about here?
Well, you know, some people love to do matching outfits. If you do different sets of pajamas with the family every year or sweaters, maybe even get one for the dog so they match too. Use Prime to snag everything you need for this year's family theme.
Oh, yeah. And you have to get the perfect picture once everyone is matching.
Of course, Pixar didn't happen. And Prime includes unlimited photo storage. So you can take as many pictures as you want, and don't stop there. You've got to keep things festive once everyone is all cozy and in matching outfits. Maybe make some cookies or some cinnamon rolls or both. You can even get the baking supplies you need on Prime with fast, free shipping.
There's no greater smell than treats baking in the oven at the holidays.
These are the traditions that are so simple, but also the most fun. Once you're baking, you can throw in a holiday movie, and Prime Video has the movies you want. The classics and the ones that feel like a made-for-TV movie.
Oh, some of those really do get me. Like where someone meets the single firefighter that just moved into town or falls in love with the person that's secret royalty.
Secret royalty. So remember, whatever you're into during the holidays, Prime has what you need to indulge in your favorite traditions. Lots of movies on Prime Video, fast, free shipping for clothing, baking supplies, decorations, and Prime also has everything for decorating the stuff you bake. Get the frosting, the glitter, the sprinkles, so you can win the title of Best Cookie Artist.
Decorating cookies is fun no matter how they turn out. The fails taste just as good as the triumphs.
From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Oh my God.
I like the idea of that Rob leaves for
That
lunch.
that was such a Rob joke.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pun though, but it was like a behavioral pun.
A baby pun. A behavioral pun.
Yeah. Wow, that was great. Okay, wait. So
back to why you're in all black. No real reason. Just that's your outfit.
Yeah, this is just
no one passed.
No.
Okay.
No. I just thought it was chic.
Yeah. Dress to impress.
Yep. I do that.
Yeah.
People want to.
Why did you look down at your?
Because I have a fuzz.
Oh, okay. I go dress to impress, and you go.
This is.
I'm just repeating what just actually happened. We could rewind the tape.
Okay. I looked down. This is my outfit, and then I saw I have a bunch of fuzzies on.
Tell me I dress to impress. Even though you know where it's going.
You dress to impress.
Wouldn't that be a wild?
For me to look at my outfit and not look at my boobs, I'd have to
Okay, fair.
I feel self-conscious now.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that was inappropriate.
Anyway.
I know where we were at. Really great meditation.
That was so long ago. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a great meditation.
Good. Me too. I watched A Christmas Story last night.
Okay.
No one will watch it with me.
Oh.
I mean, the kids won't watch it with me.
Got it.
And I was like, why don't they know good shit. Why are they acting like they don't like this movie? I really couldn't accept it.
Uh-huh.
And then I was watching it and they weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, it's probably a little slow for them.
Oh.
I could admit that. And it made me very nostalgic for back when there was like a downtown and it was decorated. Because when I was a kid, Detroit still had Hudson's did a big Christmas display. You could go meet Santa. Then you go to Saunders Ice Cream and have a cream puff. And it was a whole thing. There was a parade, and then Cobo Hall had this thing. And that opening shot where they go, it's in Cleveland in the 50s. Higbee's, you remember? They had their department store was Higbee's, and it was lit up beautifully. And a really great window display with train sets.
Yeah.
It made me so nostalgic and sad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, also to them, the 50s is the 1900s to us.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch a movie about the 1900s.
Yeah, and you know what? Instead of trying to get my kids to like it, what I do, I go, oh, my father-in-law was born in Cleveland, and this is the era of his childhood. So I'm like, hey, do you love A Christmas Story? He's like, who doesn't? And I go, yeah, but you particularly, you grew up in Cleveland. And then he was like, is it set in Cleveland? Then he sent me this whole thing. He's like, oh my God, you're right. Higbee's. I used to go to Higbee's and then he had a whole story about Higbee's.
That's cute.
Yeah.
So then you just text it throughout the whole movie.
Because it's slow and boring. It's not a good movie. No, it's so good. And Ralphie, if anyone's has yet to watch it and they're still going to watch it, what I want people to dial in most specific, the cutest thing he does, Peter Billingsley, i.e. Ralphie, his tongue is so busy in that movie, and it is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. Like when he's doing the decoder ring, and he's like, A, yeah. And they know it too, because all of a sudden you just go to an extreme close-up of his little mouth with that little tongue darting around. And anytime he's reading out loud or he's thinking, he's in front of his class, he's like having this fantasy that his teacher loved his essay. And she's on the chalkboard writing A+. And they go to him and he's just wistfully thinking of this. And he's like, and his little tongue is darting around. It's oh, is it cute?
Acting used to be so easy. All you had to do is move your tongue around.
Dart it around.
And it was considered good acting.
No, he's impossibly good for a 9-year-old in that movie. It's crazy how good he is. But just anytime he's thinking, the Shepards, we stick our tongue out when we're concentrating really hard.
Do?
You've not noticed that? I don't have it quite as bad as my dad and my brother and my uncle. But yeah, if I'm really going after something, my tongue comes out.
Really?
And we all do it, yeah. So his just seemed like the thing he does when he's like distracted.
Hold on. Do a roll. Do it as if you're, I want to see it.
This would be out all of a sudden.
It's a little out. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like I'm expressing like I want to.
I guess I have seen that face.
This is going to become an inappropriate fact check, and I want to apologize to the Christmas listeners.
Why?
Because of my previous thing about you going like this, and then now I'm just going like it look, all of a sudden that looked kind of inappropriate, and I just want to clean it up for the holidays.
Since when do you want to clean it up?
It's the holidays.
The holidays are sexy. What are you talking about?
Boop.
People love to have
for
sex.
Singles.
And for people in couples, they have sex by the fire and stuff.
Yeah, it's great for singles and couples, not people with children. It's all about children for us.
Yeah, but right? People with children, like, don't they still have sex by the fire?
How on earth could you have sex? Your days of having sex by the fire are completely over the day your first kid arrives.
What about if they're asleep?
Your parents, you can't fucking run the, why not fuck on the island in the kitchen?
Why not?
No way. Rob, are you and Natalie fucking in the open house at all?
No, never.
But do you have a fireplace?
We do.
Oh. Well, you should fuck in front of it.
Buy all the
clean up for Christmas. Do you ever jerk off in front of that fireplace when no one's home? You know the thing I hate that I can't not think of, and I don't know if this is urban legend or real, but allegedly, rumor, urban legend, little boy who puts his tongue on the pole, gets it stuck to the pole, he did a porno when he grew up.
Oh, no.
And I know
think
that.
It's because of that?
No, I don't think it's because of that, but
well, it might be.
I don't like that I'm watching this movie and all I can think of is this little boy grows up and does a porno, which, by the way, it's fine if you do pornos. I don't even know why it's, I don't care if you've done a porno.
I'm kind of curious why it bumps
But I don't think when people go into movie acting, their goal is to then graduate to pornos. I think you probably come out here to do movies, you start in pornos, and maybe you graduate.
Well, that's the whole thing when your parents are afraid you're going to move to Hollywood and then become a porn actor.
Yes.
That's like the whole thing.
The stereotype.
They're like, don't go become, you're going to have to get sucked into porn.
Right. Unless it's a dad and a son. He's like, boy, I hope you find your way over to pornos.
Well, maybe then, maybe it was just following his dad's dream.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Now, this one I know is real.
Okay.
Double check, Rob, so I don't get sued. But I do believe Screech was in an adult film.
Yes, I was about to say that he was.
Yeah. And does it impact when you're watching Saved by the Bell? Are you thinking like...
I haven't watched it since I learned that information, but yes, I can't like see a picture and not think that.
That he did a porno.
But it's more than just like, oh, he did a porno. It feels dark. There's something that feels dark about it.
Again, like it's not what they were wanting or aiming to do, and that maybe they were in financial straits, and then people knew that they would be a draw. It sounds like someone maybe compromised.
Well, he put it out. He put out a sex tape called Screeched, Saved by the Smell.
Saved by the Smell?
Yep.
What a classy title. I'm lucky I never ended up in one. I mean, let's be honest. I was unemployed for 9 years.
Oh, no.
And I was a party animal. I could have ended up in one, and boy, God.
Would you really have?
I mean, I don't know. You're somewhere, you're drunk, you meet like 6 porn stars at a thing, everyone's having fun.
I guess you hanging out with them.
You got no money, you like having sex.
No. You'd have sex with them, but you wouldn't have them film
on camera. I'm just saying that I'm lucky that never happened is what I'm saying.
Have you ever filmed yourself having sex?
How dare you ask that question
Why?
in public?
Why? Why?
Have I ever filmed
People do.
Of course they do.
Or not
No.
you, or has okay.
I had to really think about that.
I'm surprised.
I think I've run some video on, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to say
who. We're not saying who
yes,
with.
but I think I've run some video on some nudity in my day.
Wait, what's the difference? This is like the...
I'll tell you the difference. Like, did I ever set up a tripod?
Right.
And then,
yeah.
No, I didn't do that.
What is running some video on nudity? What's that look like?
Well, you got your video camera out and you're like shooting in your thing, and then your girlfriend's
like
naked, and then you film her because you want to look at it later at some point.
But it's not the act.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any problem with people making a sex tape.
I think that's awesome. They're having fun.
Having sex by the fire, at the holidays, like most couples do.
Like most married couples with a house full of children do.
All right. Well, this is for Allison Jones. And this is our last episode of the year. I mean, sort of. We have a
smorgasbord of offerings.
No, we do. But this is our last real episode. Then we have an Armchair Anonymous coming out on Friday. Mm-hmm. And then we have our holiday special.
This is our last new interview of the year. How about that?
Okay. And it was a great year.
It was a great year.
Fantastic year.
Closed really strong.
Yeah. Yeah. And
one after another.
We added this location.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal. That was scary. That was a big change, a big challenge.
Yeah.
And we're embracing it.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I like how it's going.
2024. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I forgot to say this. Do you know that the Pantone color of the year was announced?
Okay. So I saw a comment yesterday.
Okay.
That was like, when is Monica going to talk about Pantone? They were like nervous and worried.
Yeah. I'm so sorry it's taken me this long.
Yeah, okay.
But do you know what it is?
Black.
No. Close.
What?
It's called Mocha Mousse, which is basically Mocha Mouse, which is basically brown mouse.
Is it the color of your skin?
It's brown.
There's a lot of shades of brown.
Okay, fine. No.
Hold up the Pantone color to your cheeks.
It's not really, but no, that one's a
Modest Mousse? What's it called?
It's called Mocha.
Miniature Mousse?
Mocha Mousse.
Mocha Mousse. It's not as dark as yours, so.
I'm doing tongue.
Oh. This is the holidays. Do. And boppy dee bop.
Okay, but it's a little more pink.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's a great sign.
That we're going into the browns with Pantone? That they picked.
Brown mouse?
Brown mouse.
That's a good omen.
That is a good omen. It's going to be an incredible year.
Yeah, I think so. For all of the people who listen, it's going to be a great year.
What do you do with that color? Are you ordering items now in that color? Like, do you adjust anything in your life?
Yes, that's the whole, it's my background on my phone.
Okay, so that's one thing you do. That's an actionable step.
That's that's what I do.
Okay, there's nothing else. It's not like, when they announce this color, are there collaborations where now different companies, you can order the Pantone
sometimes.
Mousse?
Mocha Mousse.
Moose knuckle.
Brown mouse. They'll do some collabs. Sometimes there's often a mug. I might get that this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I make the background of my phone the color.
Do you know what I would call that color? And again, I know this is xenophobic. It's not really, but nude. That color just looks like nude to me, like nude. Before they got wise to that's not what everyone looks like nude, but nude undergarments. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's almost like a peach.
Yeah, that's more peach.
Uh-huh.
That's more what this year's was.
That's this year? That's not moose knuckle? Oh, I thought you already had it.
No, I don't get to put it on it until January 1st.
Okay. All right.
They have a bunch of collabs already. They have a Motorola phone. They have Joybird, Libratone headphones, all Pantone and all those brands.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. Do they have the mug?
They have a million things. So yeah, probably.
So yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, I wish they made an iPhone case in it.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like,
that would be great because then the wallpaper, everything would be brown mouse.
Yes.
Anyway, this is this year's. That's more nude to me. I mean, the color.
Yeah, the one you're holding up looks very nude.
Yeah, and the mocha mousse is nude for a brown person. Light brown person.
Colorism. It's even in
whatever.
Pantone.
I embrace this as me.
Okay, wait, hold that up again. Now it looks darker. Oh, this is what has happened? Are you sure? I think you might have held up the pink.
I didn't, I promise. It's because when you zoom in, for some reason it looks...
Something goes, zoom out. It's like 10 shades darker. That's almost your skin color.
Yeah, so
that's
there you
great.
Go. Okay, 2 facts. 1, she got her business degree for $750 a trimester at UCLA. Now, I made a mistake when I checked this fact before.
Okay.
When I type in now, UCLA business degree cost, it says the total cost of the MBA program is $128,000 per year, including tuition and living expenses. The tuition is $78,000 per year.
Could it have quadrupled since the last time you Googled it?
It must have been not the MBA program that I looked at. It must have been regular tuition because I Googled this now like 8 times because I was also confused. That's wild.
All right. Let's just say the last time you looked at it up, it was $22,000 a year.
Yeah. So obviously I looked up the wrong thing. Yeah. So I don't know.
Who knows?
But
just go there and then find out when you get the bill, tell us.
All right. And then why are they called sides? In acting, sides refers to a specific part of a script given to actors for auditions because historically actors would only receive their own lines from a scene, essentially just their side of the dialogue, which helped protect the full script from being copied or shared with competitors, especially during Shakespeare's time when printing was limited, hence the term sides. We also discovered that he's married. His wife's name is Anne Hathaway.
That's crazy. Still adjusting to that info.
That is shocking, and I'm surprised that I didn't know that.
Because you're an Anne Hathaway super fan?
No, because I had to take a lot of Shakespeare.
Right, from your Shakespearean knowledge.
I should have known that. Maybe I did, and I blocked it. I don't know, but Anne Hathaway, well, she is a style icon.
We need to interview her to get to the bottom of whether or not that was intentional or not.
I agree.
It would kind of confirm the story I've made up about her in my head.
Okay,
which I feel like she was just born to be an actor.
Right.
Like, I feel like she's probably been acting since she was 1 year old.
Yeah, I mean, Princess Diaries, she was just 2 years old.
Okay. Is that her real age? No, I didn't see it.
No, but she was young.
Okay.
Not as young as Pepsi Girl.
No.
I would love to interview her and ask her that.
Me too.
Great.
Please, Anne. Even if the interview's 30 seconds and you tell us whether that was intentional or not, we'll take what we can get.
Or if she wants to come in as Anne Hathaway, Shakespeare's wife.
I'll dress up as Bill Shakespeare.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Who could I be? I don't think they have many brown. I will dress up as
Julia.
A piece of poop on the floor.
What?
because brown, they didn't have very many brown people.
You are.
So I need to be.
You are so mean
brown.
to people of color, and I'm here to be an advocate and an ally.
We're trying to be true to the times.
I am very disappointed.
I know who I'll be, a butler.
Okay. Chambermaid?
Because they had Indian
servants?
Yeah.
They did?
I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure back then, England, because they owned India. Listen, I'll be a poop.
No.
Piece of poop.
No, you'll be a moose knuckle, Pantone moose knuckle.
Wow. All right. Well, we aren't going to do this again until, I guess, the holiday special, but that'll be a little different.
Yeah.
And then next year, 2025,
Brown
your
Mouse
50th year.
Oh my God, so many good things. Very even age number for me. I love that.
Yeah.
Brown Mouse.
Yeah.
For you.
And 2025 feels really sharp.
It's a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about you being 50 and it being 25. That's nice.
Yeah, because I was born in 75. Works out perfectly.
25, 50, 75.
Yeah, all quarters.
You should be more excited about that. All right.
All right, love you.